Welcome to Fanfiction Uploads, your ultimate destination for immersive anime audiobooks. Are you a fan of anime and love diving deep into captivating stories? You've come to the right place. Here on Fanfiction Uploads, we bring you high-quality audiobooks based on your favorite anime series. Whether you're commuting, relaxing at home, or just need a break, our audiobooks will transport you into the world of anime like never before. At Fanfiction Uploads, we offer professionally narrated and carefully selected audiobooks that cover a wide range of genres and series, from action-packed adventures to heartfelt romances. With new episodes and stories uploaded frequently, there's always something fresh to enjoy. Join our community. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Connect with fellow anime enthusiasts in the comments section. Share your thoughts, and let us know which stories you want to hear next. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Sit back, relax, and let the stories unfold. Welcome to Fanfiction Uploads, where anime comes to life. The Kingdom of Fire. The capital. Next to the bustling main street, there is an ancient and elegant mansion. System, are you there? In the backyard, a young man was lazily lying on a rattan chair with a nervous look on his face. Host, I am here. A mechanical female voice sounded. It's good to be here, it's good to be here. The young man breathed a sigh of relief. His name is Li Chongsheng, and he is a time traveler. In his previous life, he was reading a novel while walking on the road at night, and he stepped on empty air and fell down. Then he traveled to this world. The only consolation is that he did not travel through his soul, but through his body. After a few days of adaptation, Li Chongsheng found that this was actually the Naruto world of Konoha 41. He still knew the Naruto world. Simply put, this is a world that relies on ancestors. The more powerful your ancestors are, the more powerful you can be. If your ancestors are not good, no matter how powerful you are, you will only be a supporting role. Isn't it just a competition of cheating? I have one too. Li Chongsheng breathed a sigh of relief. After he traveled through time, he awakened the disciple recruiting system and bound it to this mansion. According to the system, every time he accepts an apprentice, he will receive a very generous reward. Moreover, any skill the apprentice learns can be returned to him as a critical hit. The question is, why can he only accept female disciples? That's right. The system stipulates that he can only accept female disciples, not male disciples. However, what is frustrating is that he has been wandering around the capital of the Fire Nation for the past few days, but has not met a female who meets the requirements. I can only go to Konoha. The women there should be better. However, before that, system, don't you consider giving me something? Which woman who meets the requirements is not a favored child of heaven? Everyone is so arrogant, who would be willing to be my disciple? Li Chongsheng talked about the conditions again. However, the system did not respond. How about trying the beauty trap? Li Chongsheng was quite confident in his appearance. If he wore a white dress and robe, he would look like an immortal. He believed that it would be easy to fool a few ignorant girls. Thinking of this, Li Chongsheng stood up and planned to try his luck in the nearest Konoha village. The capital was not far from Konoha, and it only took him half a day to get here. If he was a ninja, it would be even faster. Outside Konoha village, Li Chongsheng stood in the forest and could vaguely see the walls of Konoha through the dense branches and leaves. Coming. It had been less than a year since the Second Ninja World War ended. Konoha fought 1 against 5 in this war and still won. It can be seen that the quality of Konoha's ninjas is quite good. I hope to receive a disciple with good qualifications. The current Konoha is not like the time when there were only a few kittens left. There were Konoha White Fang in the front and Konoha Sunin in the back. It was the peak moment of the 3 generations. Just as Li Chongsheng was about to move forward, a weak voice suddenly came. Help! Li Chongsheng looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a round-faced girl in a red dress and long fiery red hair running over breathlessly. The girl's hands were tied behind her back, her face was flushed, and a layer of tiny beads of sweat oozed from her forehead. However, before she ran a few steps, her feet softened and she fell in front of Li Chongsheng. Host, please note. A girl who meets the requirements appears in front of us. Please accept her as your disciple as soon as possible. Li Chongsheng blinked. At the same time, the girl's information appeared in front of him. Name, Uzumaki Kushina. Faction, Konoha. Strength, Genin. Qualification, A. Kushina. Li Chongsheng was delighted. At this moment, 3 ninjas wearing forehead protectors from the hidden cloud village emerged from the dense forest. Come on, catch her, don't let her run away. Don't worry, I gave her a double dose, she can't get away. Asshole, this concerns the future of the village, we must not be careless. Looking at Kushina lying on the ground and the 3 cloud ninjas not far away, Li Chongsheng suddenly remembered. Kushina kidnapping incident. According to the plot, the hidden cloud village suffered a great loss in World War II, so they began to conduct a large number of tailed beast experiments. However, because their Jinkraki could not fully control the tailed beast, the 8-tailed beast went berserk many times, causing great damage to the hidden cloud village. In order to master the method of suppressing the chakra of the tailed beast, the hidden cloud village sent ninjas to Konoha. On the surface, it was to form an alliance, but in fact it was to kidnap Kushina, who was a perfect Jinkraki. I just don't know what the top leaders of the hidden cloud village thought. They sent 3 scumbag jonin to carry out the mission, but they were stabbed to death by Minato Namikaze, who was still a chunin. At this time, Kushina raised her head with all her strength and said weakly, "Save me, save me." Before Li Chongsheng could say anything, the 3 cloud ninjas had already rushed over, their faces showing ferocious expressions. Boy, I advise you to mind your own business. We brothers don't want to kill anyone, don't force us to do it. Get out of here quickly, quickly. Li Chongsheng ignored the 3 cloud ninjas. He was not stupid, and he did not want to miss such a good opportunity. So he leaned over and asked, "Little girl, are you willing to be my disciple?" The 3 cloud ninjas looked at each other in bewilderment when they heard this. They didn't feel even a trace of chakra from Li Chongsheng. The guy in front of them was basically a civilian. Why didn't he run away at this time and took in his apprentice? Boss, stop talking nonsense to him. The plan cannot fail. One of the cloud ninjas was halfway through his words when he reached out and slashed down hard. The cloud ninja leader's eyes flashed with a hint of hesitation, but he finally nodded. You 2 come together and make a quick decision. Remember, you must not hurt the 9 tails. As soon as the voice fell, the other 2 cloud ninjas rushed over. Li Chongsheng still ignored them. Seeing that Kushina's consciousness was a little blurred, he had to pat her face and asked again. Are you willing to take me as your master? Kushina no longer had the ability to think, and instinctively said, I will. As soon as the words fell, the system's voice rang. Congratulations to the host for successfully recruiting a disciple. The host becomes a genin, triggering 100 times crit. Congratulations to the host for being promoted to an elite jonin. The host obtains the Whirlpool Immortal Body, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Ultimate Immortal Body. The host gains 100 chakras, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 chakras. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 200,000 mal points. Host, please note. Since the host successfully accepted a disciple, the disciple mall is officially opened. The host can use the points to purchase various skills in the mall and train disciples to upgrade quickly. As soon as the system finished speaking, Li Chongsheng felt a large amount of pure chakra pouring out from his danshan and flowing along the major meridians. After a moment, it returned to his danshan and returned to calm. The ultimate immortal body. Li Chongsheng was stunned and quickly looked at his personal panel. Name, Li Changshen. Rank, Elite Jonin. Chakra, 10,000 calories. Bloodline, Ultimate Sage Body. Physical skills, none. Ninjutsu, none. Illusion, none. Points, 200,000. 10,000 chakras. Li Chongsheng reacted instantly. This should be the effect of the ultimate sage body. The Uzumaki clan is born with a huge amount of chakra. And the clan members who awaken the Uzumaki sage body will have a chakra volume of up to 100 chakras. And it is not difficult to understand why the ultimate sage body he obtained under the 100-fold critical strike has a chakra volume of 10,000 chakras. At this time, Li Chongsheng stood up. He clenched his fists and felt an unprecedented power. Do you really think I'm easy to talk to? I'm a man who can take action without making any noise. Just now, I was forced to perform because of the situation. After saying that, he punched one of the cloud ninjas. Bang! The huge force directly pierced the chest of the cloud ninja. Li Chongsheng kicked out again, and the cloud ninja's body was kicked more than 10 meters away, and fell to the ground with a thump, and was no longer alive. Immediately, Li Chongsheng grabbed the hand of another cloud ninja holding the kunao and broke it with his hand. With the sound of crack, the arm broke into 2 pieces. Then the other hand grabbed the kunao and gently slashed the cloud ninja's neck. The cloud ninja collapsed to the ground, following the footsteps of his teammates. Elite Jonin. Impossible. You are obviously an ordinary person, how can you be an elite Jonin? The cloud ninja leader had an expression of disbelief on his face. It's your turn. Li Chongsheng was too lazy to talk nonsense with the dead. The cloud ninja leader looked flustered and said quickly. Wait, I'm not a bad person. I am actually 3 generations old. Before he finished speaking, Li Chongsheng turned into a stream of light and rushed over. When he saw Li Changshen's figure clearly, a kunao had already been inserted into his throat. I am. The leader of the cloud ninja fell down, his eyes wide open. Li Chongsheng then walked over to Kushina. At this point, she was completely unconscious. Poison! Li Chongsheng secretly exclaimed that this was a difficult problem. He didn't know how to detoxify. Could it be that his new disciple was gone just like that? That little yellow-haired guy is coming soon, so let's go back first. So as to avoid unnecessary trouble. So, Li Chongsheng picked up Kushina and left quickly. At this time, his strength was no longer the same as before. The journey that took most of the day was completed in less than an hour. After returning to the mansion, Li Chongsheng felt something was wrong. Although Kushina in his arms fell into a coma, her skin was getting redder and redder, and her body was sweating more and more. And her hands were still unconsciously touching everywhere. Not only touching herself, but also touching Li Changshen's body. No matter how stupid Li Chongsheng was, he could see that this was obviously not an ordinary poison, but the legendary charm poison. No wonder Kushina fell in love with the little yellow-haired boy in the original book. It turns out that this is how she won him over. The rice has been cooked, there is no way to refuse. System, do you have any solution? System. I called out several times, but the system didn't respond at all. What kind of system is this? It's unreliable at the critical moment. I finally got a disciple, I can't just watch her get burned to death by the evil fire. Alas, we can only use the most primitive method. Thinking of this, Li Chongsheng no longer hesitated, picked up Kushina and walked into the room. Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat in the Hokage chair, smoking a pipe. Opposite him stood the Hokage's assistant, Shimura Danzo, and the 2 Hokage advisors, Mito Kato-en and Udaten Koharu. All the F4 members of Konoha were present. Hiruzen, is this your brilliant plan? Danzo's face was livid. Sarutobi Hiruzen had a hard time saying anything and took a few puffs of his pipe. How could such a foolproof plan go wrong? His undercover agent in the hidden cloud village found out that the Raikage would send an envoy to Konoha. On the surface, they were discussing an alliance, but in reality, they wanted to kidnap the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. So, he played along with them. After killing 3 cloud ninjas, he asked his confidants to pretend to be cloud ninjas to kidnap Kushina. By the way, he fed Kushina with a powerful charm poison. Then, as long as he secretly guided his good disciple Minato Namikaze over, he could come to the rescue and completely bind the Nine-Tails to his faction. But he backfired. Kushina disappeared, and the Nine-Tails was lost as well. It's really a case of losing more than gaining. If I had known this, I should have used the telescope technique to track him all the way. Midaman Yan said at this time. What's the point of saying this? Think about how to remedy the situation. Utane Koharu also snorted. The Nine-Tails is our Konoha's trump card, and we must not lose it. Mobilize all ninjas and find the Nine-Tails. Midaman N immediately objected. No. The news must not be leaked. The war has just ended. If someone with ulterior motives takes advantage of it, the war might reignite. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, agreeing with Mito Kato-en's opinion. The news of Kyubai's disappearance must not be leaked. Immediately issue a gag order to all those who know about it. Did you hear that clearly? The current Sarutobi Hiruzen is not the old man he will be in the future. He is 46 years old this year, in his prime. With the strength of the peak of Cage level, he has the title of Ninja Hero. He is one of the 2 strongest people in the entire ninja world. Except for the so-called demigod Hanzo, no one can surpass him. Therefore, he has absolute say in the 4-member group. What a pity! A trace of disappointment flashed in Danzo's eyes. He really wanted to make the matter bigger and make Sarutobi Hiruzen lose face. It would be best if Sarutobi Hiruzen could not withstand the pressure and resigned. Then he would succeed as the 4th Hokage. What should we do now? Udaten Koharu asked. Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately said. Immediately block the border and have the ninjas on duty check everyone. If there is any abnormality, report it immediately. Midaman Yan was surprised. You mean, Raikage? Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and said. The Raikage looks like a reckless man. If you mistake him for a reckless man, you will die without knowing how you died. I can plant an undercover agent in his place and take advantage of his situation. Why can't he plant an undercover agent here and use the same trick against me? Midaman Yan nodded. The Raikage is also a 1,000-year-old fox, so this is really possible. Regardless of whether he is the Raikage or not, he has definitely not left the border yet. Who should we send to investigate this matter? Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a moment and said. Let the Leaf Department check it out. Danzo, your roots must also fully cooperate. Remember, keep it secret. The dark part of Konoha is divided into Leaf and Root. The Leaf division is led by Sarutobi Hiruzen himself. The Root was given to his confidant, Danzo. Understood. Danzo agreed. He knew it clearly. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave him the Root just to let him take the blame. No matter what dirty things Sarutobi Hiruzen did, he and the Root must stand up and say that they did it. Otherwise, there is no need for him to exist. Early in the morning, Li Chongsheng walked out of the room, feeling refreshed. After arriving in the backyard and lying on a rattan chair, he began to study the Disciple Mall. Li Chongsheng discovered that the mall contained everything. As long as it was ninjutsu, secret techniques, and even blood inheritance that had appeared in this world, it was all available. Of course, the stronger you are, the more points you need. The most special thing is that there are chakra pills available for purchase in the mall. After taking it, you can increase 1 card of chakra. And it is not expensive, only 10,000 points per pill. Kushina possesses the Uzumaki sage body, and her chakra is as high as 100 calories. And she is the 9 tails Jinchuriki, with so much chakra that she can't use it up. Chakradan has no effect on her. But, having said that, since she has already accepted me as her master, I have to think clearly about her future development path. Li Chongsheng thought about it. Now it is certain that in terms of ninjutsu, Kushina does not know anything except the 3-body technique. You know, her qualifications are A-level, and it is impossible for her to be the last one. It is estimated that like Naruto, she never took school seriously. Etc. Naruto. Suddenly, a bright light flashed through Li Changshen's mind. What would happen if I trained Nana to be another Naruto? Li Chongsheng thought about it over and over again, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt that this idea was feasible. Kushina and Naruto have very similar personalities, both of them are big-headed. Moreover, both of them have wind attribute chakra, both are Uzumaki sages, and both are 9 tails Jinchuriki. The most important thing is that Kushina is Naruto's biological mother. There is no reason why Kushina can't learn what Naruto can learn. As a family, of course we have to be neat and tidy, rolling the balls. Haha, I'm really a genius. Li Chongsheng was very excited. After all, the higher Kushina's achievements in the future, the more critical strikes she would give him. If Kushina can achieve what Naruto has, what about me? With 100 times the return, it's not too much to kill the Otsutsuki ancestor in 1 second. At this time, there was a sudden heart-wrenching scream. After a while, Kushina came out wrapped in a sheet. Her clothes had been torn to pieces. Her hair was disheveled, she was limping, and there was still a trace of blood on her thigh. Looking at Li Chongsheng lying on the rattan chair, she didn't know what expression to use. When she was most desperate, this man saved her life. However, it was this man who took away her most precious thing. Kushina opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say, so she could only stand there. You woke up. Li Chongsheng was very natural. He didn't think he had done anything wrong. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. You don't need to thank me. By the way, you don't know your teacher's name yet, right? The teacher's name is Li Chongsheng. Since you have accepted me as your master, you will be my eldest disciple from now on. You are so big. You have eaten everything, and now you are acting like a master? Why didn't you act like a master when we were in bed? Looking at Li Changshen's indifferent look, Kushina felt an inexplicable rage in her heart, and she wanted to beat him up. So she said unhappily, I won't be your apprentice. You saved my life once, and harmed me once again, we owe each other nothing. Looking at Kushina's angry look, Li Chongsheng raised his eyebrows. Little girl, once a teacher, always a father. This is not up to you. Kushina heard this and became even angrier. Bah! Is there a master like you? I think it should be Gui father. I won't be one. Li Chongsheng chuckled and said. Really? I'm very powerful. Kushina didn't know what she was thinking of, and her pretty face turned red. Then she angrily said. How awesome! Is Hashirama's uncle as powerful as his uncle? Kushina's grandfather Uzumaki Ashina is Uzumaki Mito's brother. And Hashirama is Mito's husband. So, Kushina calls Hashirama her uncle. Li Chongsheng smiled and said. Little girl, you just need to know that although Hashirama is called the god of the ninja world, there are still people in the ninja world who are more powerful than him. He didn't say anything nonsense, such as Kaguya who was still sealed on the moon. But Kushina obviously didn't believe it. He made a tisk sound, with a look of disdain on his face. Li Chongsheng was ready to add fuel to the fire, so he continued. If you only take me as your master, I promise that your future achievements will not be inferior to those of Hashirama. Kushina was moved when she heard this. So she asked. Then can you help me get revenge? Revenge? Li Chongsheng raised his eyebrows. He knew that the Uzumaki clan was destroyed, but he had no idea about the details. Tell me about it. After a moment of silence, Kushina said. I was young then, and I didn't know much. I only remember that when I was 6 years old, a large number of people in black broke into Wakao village and killed everyone they saw. The tribesmen seemed to have no ability to resist and kept dying. After my grandfather handed me over to the servants, he also died in order to cover our escape. Later we were discovered, and the servant was killed with a knife by a man in black in order to save me. When they wanted to kill me, the Senju clan came over. After seeing the Thousand Hands clan, the men in black withdrew soon after. Then, I was brought to Konoha and given to Mito-san to raise. After listening to this, Li Chongsheng began to think. He had no ability to resist, so it was very likely that someone had poisoned him. And it was someone very close to him. And the fact that the Senju clan could rush over was very intriguing. The two clans were far apart. If the Uzumaki clan went to report the news, then by the time the Senju clan arrived, it would have been too late. Therefore, the Senju clan could only have gotten the news from the murderer. Then, the answer was obvious. Even if it wasn't the Konoha high-level officials who did it, they were also closely related. So what? What do you want to do? Kushina's eyes were red, and she said angrily. As long as you can help my people get revenge, I will do anything for you. Li Chongsheng shook his head and said. I won't help. Kushina felt sad when she heard this. However, before she could speak, Li Chongsheng continued. Revenge is your business, not mine. But I can train you to be as strong as Hashirama. Kushina suddenly raised her head and asked. How can I believe you? Although she said that, there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Li Chongsheng understood that Kushina had been moved. All she needed was a reason. So he said. Half a year. In half a year at most, I can make you reach the level of a movie star. How is it? Kushina was silent after hearing this. In fact, she still had a good impression of Li Chongsheng. It was just that after her virginity was taken away, she saw that Li Chongsheng still looked like he didn't care, which made her a little angry. She's already his anyway. I don't have any relatives, so I'll just follow him. Moreover, if what he said was true, there might be a chance to avenge the tribe. After thinking it through, Kushina knelt down. Master, please accept my disciple's greeting. Good. From now on, you are my eldest disciple. Li Chongsheng nodded with satisfaction. Then he flipped his palm and a scroll appeared in his hand. This is the A-level ninjutsu, shadow clone technique. If you can learn it in 5 minutes, I will teach you the ultimate ninjutsu. In the original work, it took Naruto less than 5 minutes to learn shadow clone. So, Kushina should be not much behind. Shadow clone technique. Don't worry, it won't take 5 minutes. Kushina's eyes lit up. She had heard of the name of shadow clone a long time ago. She immediately took the scroll and read it carefully. Time passed by. After more than 3 minutes. The shadow clone technique. With a bang, after a puff of smoke, 2 identical Kushinas stood in front of Li Chongsheng. At the same time, the system's voice also sounded. Kushina learns the shadow clone technique, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the multiple shadow clone technique. Li Chongsheng looked at Kushina, who had an expression that said praise me now, and said with a smile. More than 3 minutes, not bad. Kushina said proudly with a proud expression on her face. Of course. Li Chongsheng had just obtained multiple shadow clones, so he wanted to give it a try. At the same time, he also wanted to give Kushina a small blow to prevent her from being too complacent. So he put his hands together. Bang! 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 The smoke dissipated, and thousands of Li Chongsheng appeared in front of him, filling the backyard. Little girl, you're still far away. However, since you have done it, I will not break my promise. Li Changshen's mind moved, and all the shadow clones disappeared. Then, he took out another scroll and handed it to Kushina. Sage mode. Kushina couldn't help but scream, her mouth wide open. You know Sage mode? Li Chongsheng looked away, surprised. Kushina nodded. My eldest sister has a teammate who often calls himself a sage. My eldest sister said it was because he learned the Sage mode. So, I will be a fairy in the future, hee hee. After saying that, she began to be complacent again. Li Chongsheng shook his head helplessly and began to explain according to the contents of the scroll. He got 200,000 points this time, which has been cleared. The Shadow Clone technique cost 10,000 points. The Mayaboku Mountain Sage mode cost 180,000 points. In addition, he also bought a small bottle of toad oil, spending the last 10,000 points. According to the scroll, practicing the Sage mode, a special liquid can be applied to the forehead to speed up the speed of sensing natural energy. Li Chongsheng chose the Mayaboku Mountain Sage mode, so he needed to buy toad oil. Not long after, Kushina applied the toad oil on her forehead. 5 hearts facing the sun, concentrate your mind. As long as the ratio of natural energy to chakra reaches 1 to 2, it will be considered successful. The process will be a little painful, but definitely not as painful as last night. You must hold back. Li Chongsheng said seriously. Kushina couldn't help rolling her eyes, but she still did as she was told. Her qualifications were rated as A level by the system, which was pretty good. Unfortunately, in the original work, she was a love-brained person, and her ultimate achievements were limited. However, under my guidance, I believe her future will be brighter. Not long after, Kushina's body showed signs of frog-like transformation. Snap! Li Chongsheng held a branch and hit her small buttocks. Ah! Kushina panted, her face blushing, and she said dissatisfiedly. Master, can we fight somewhere else? Li Chongsheng pulled it again and said. Focus on feeling the natural energy, don't be distracted. At the gate of the Fire Nation's capital, a blonde woman with a high ponytail walked in and said proudly. Gambling houses, I'm a big fat sheep, cough cough. My gambling god is back. Welcome your queen. This woman is Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha. Half a year ago, the Senju clan officially announced its dissolution and merged into Konoha. After the matter was settled, she didn't know how to face her teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen, the culprit of the dissolution of the Senju clan. So she chose to leave. During this period, her gambling nature broke out completely and she owed a huge debt. The creditors couldn't find her, so they had to go to Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen might feel that he owed her something, so he paid off her gambling debts. So this time, she appeared here openly again. The next day. It's only been a day, and I don't need toad oil to feel the natural energy. Li Chongsheng threw down the branch in his hand, his face full of relief. So, he planned to go out and buy some wine and meat so that Kushina could recover. At this time, a blonde woman was leaning against the outer wall of the mansion, panting. With my gambling godlike strength, how could I possibly lose so badly? Those bastards must be cheating. Suddenly, footsteps were heard around the corner. Hurry, don't let her run away. The Hokage said that this will not happen again and he will not pay her back in the future. Chase him. Tsunade panicked, seeing that there was nowhere to escape, she quickly jumped over the wall and into the backyard. Before she could run away, she saw a girl sitting cross-legged in the yard with her eyes closed. Nana! Tsunade had to stop. Kushina had been fostered in the Senju clan, and they had a very good relationship. Why did Nana come here? The old man actually let her out. As the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Sarutobi Hiruzen would never let Kushina leave Konoha. This is also the reason why Tsunade did not take Kushina with her when she left Konoha. But what's happening now? The old man has changed his nature. Tsunade's brain was a little short-circuited. So, she simply stood there and waited for Kushina to wake up. She could see that Kushina was practicing some technique. If she was interrupted, she would definitely fail. Although she had a lot of questions, she still endured it. An hour later, Tsunade sat lazily on the ground, holding a dogtail grass that she got from somewhere in her mouth. Suddenly, Kushina's body began to change. A large amount of natural energy gathered around her and gradually merged into her body. The long fiery red hair moved without wind, and a pair of orange-yellow eyeshadows began to appear on her eyes. "Master, I have entered the door." Kushina opened her eyes and said happily. "Nana, you're awake." Tsunade turned back suddenly. "Big sister. Why are you here too?" Kushina's little head was a little confused. However, she didn't get hung up on it. Looking at Tsunade in front of her, she smiled secretly, raised her little fist and rushed over. "Big sister, watch out." As a cage-level warrior, Tsunade did not take Kushina's attack too seriously and just stretched out her palm to block it. With a bang, Tsunade took 2 steps back involuntarily. "Hehe, how is it?" Kushina looked very proud. "Is this a magic technique?" "Nana, have you learned Sage Mode?" Tsunade's beautiful face showed shock. She had also gone to the wet bone forest to practice Sage Mode. But the conditions for practice were too harsh, and she eventually failed. Therefore, she understood the difficulty better than others, and was more shocked. "Hehe, I'm awesome, right?" Kushina smiled even more proudly. However, the eyeshadow on her eyes began to fade away. Seeing this, Tsunade couldn't help but quarrel with him. "It's only been a minute, there's nothing to be proud of," Kushina said unconcernedly. "What happened to 1 minute? It's already great, okay." 1 minute, she was already satisfied. At the border of the Land of Fire, in a forest, 3 Uchiha members were stumbling on the ground, their bodies covered with wounds of varying sizes. A man in shabby clothes and wearing a mask stood opposite them. "Who are you? Why did you attack us?" the beautiful female Uchiha ninja in the lead asked unwillingly. The man did not answer, but took out a copy of the Black Market Bounty Encyclopedia and flipped through it, then put it back. After replacing it with a copy of the Uchiha Character Atlas, he said, "With your strength, you can't count on the bounty. Let me see what your status is in the Uchiha clan." After saying that, he picked up the atlas and compared it with the 3 people in front of him. Seeing this, an Uchiha member suddenly thought of something and said in a lost voice, "Bounty hunter. You are Kakuzu." The beautiful woman obviously had never heard of him and showed a puzzled look. The Uchiha member explained. "He is a trader from Takigakuer, specializing in bounty hunting. It is to hunt down the elite ninjas from the 5 major countries and exchange their bodies for money. Moreover, he was a contemporary of the 1st generation. It was rumored that he practiced some forbidden technique and did not die. I didn't expect it to be true. It is said that he is the only person who has assassinated the 1st generation and left alive, and his strength is extremely terrifying." The other 2 Uchiha heard this and could not help but fall into deep shock. Those who lived in the same period as the 1st generation are all powerful figures in the ninja world. How could such a person attack a small shrimp like them? "Oh? You know me? Hey, interesting, I didn't expect my name to be passed down until now." The man, Kakuzu, couldn't help laughing. The proudest thing in his life was the assassination of the 1st Hokage, Senju Hashirama. Although he failed, at least he escaped alive, right? Who is Hashirama? He is the recognized god of the ninja world. Being able to escape from his hands is not only not shameful, but also a kind of affirmation. Having said that, Kakuzu did not forget the main business. Found it. Uchiha Mikoto, 18 years old, granddaughter of the Uchiha Great Elder. Yet, it's an important role. I believe the Uchiha clan will pay a high price to redeem you. He glanced at the other two ninjas and shook his head. As for you, the Sharingan can still be sold for some money. There is no need for people to live. As soon as the words fell, two thin threads broke out from his hands and penetrated into the hearts of the two Uchiha members. The bodies of the two began to shrink at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, they were sucked dry. Kushina's entry into the Sage mode, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for fully mastering the Sage mode. Kushina's strength reaches Chunin, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for reaching the early shadow level. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 100,000 Mal points. In fact, Li Chongsheng had already returned. It was just that Tsunade and Kushina, the two sisters, were reunited, so he didn't want to disturb them. If my apprentice practices, I can return 100 times the reward. It is so convenient. When I have 100 disciples in the future, that will be a great scene. Tisk tisk. Li Chongsheng was very satisfied. At the same time, he also noticed that his strength had reached the early stage of the shadow level. However, after reaching the shadow level, it is not so easy to improve. It's time to accept another disciple. Li Chongsheng made up his mind. Host, please note. If you find a woman who meets the requirements, please accept her as your disciple as soon as possible. At this time, the system's voice sounded again. Name, Tsunade. Faction, Konoha. Strength, mid-level. Qualification, S. As expected of the princess of Konoha, she is just big, ahem, just strong. Even the qualifications are S level. If I accept him as my disciple, I wonder how much my strength will be improved. Li Changshen's eyes lit up. Seeing that the two girls were almost done reminiscing about the past, he straightened his clothes and walked over. Master, you are back. Kushina ran over happily. Let me introduce you, this is my elder sister Tsunade. Big sister, this is my master Li Chongsheng. Li Chongsheng nodded to Tsunade and said calmly. Hello. Although he really wanted to take Tsunade as his apprentice, he would not beg her. The reason was that it was too cheap. Tsunade also nodded as a greeting. Then Kushina said as if offering a treasure. Master, I have successfully cultivated the Sage mode. Li Chongsheng chuckled and said. Where are we now? You have to be able to maintain it for at least 5 minutes to be considered successful. Keep working hard. After that, he asked Kushina to entertain Tsunade while he went to the kitchen to cook. Konoha. At the Uchiha residence, all the family leaders gathered together. Uchiha Fugaku, as the clan leader, was also among them, but he sat at the very bottom. In fact, since the Uchiha Madara incident, in order to prevent another Uchiha Madara from appearing, the Uchiha clan abolished the position of clan leader. All power was dispersed among the 7 elders. Among them, the Great Elder had the greatest power. And Uchiha Fugaku was originally just an ordinary clan member. Because of his extremely high talent for cultivation and his flexible mind, he was deeply loved by the Great Elder. The Great Elder intended to marry his only granddaughter, Uchiha Mikoto, to him. So he reinstated the position of clan leader. He planned to let the two get married and complete the transfer of power after he gained a firm foothold in the clan. The Great Elder spoke first. In this war, we Uchiha have done our best, but many have been killed or wounded. But the top leaders have been dragging their feet on paying various pensions and funeral expenses. What do you think? Fugaku, who was at the bottom, smiled bitterly. He had advised everyone present to protect the Senju clan. The reason why they had lived well in recent years was not because of the kindness of the third generation, but because the Senju clan was in the front. The third generation could not go to war with the two great families at the same time. Unfortunately, his words were not taken seriously and no one listened. Now that the Senju clan was destroyed, it was the turn of the Uchiha clan. After the meeting, the great elder left Fugaku alone. "Grandpa, I have been feeling uneasy since Mikoto left on her mission." The great elder sighed. "Mikoto, this girl, has really been spoiled by me. As an Uchiha lady, you have to take on missions and run around all day." Although he said so, there was no trace of blame on his face. Then he continued. "But you don't have to worry. I secretly arranged a bodyguard for her, so nothing serious will happen." Fugaku said quickly. "Grandpa has always been mature and steady. With Grandpa around, I can rest assured." The elder laughed and scolded. "What's the point of flattering me, kid? If you have the guts, tell that girl Mikoto." Fugaku smiled awkwardly. He didn't know why, but whenever he saw Mikoto, he would get so nervous that he couldn't speak. The elder sighed and said, "Time flies. Mikoto is going to be 18 soon. Suddenly, I thought she was still the little girl with pigtails." Fugaku saw this and didn't say much. He only heard the elder continue. "You are old too. When Mikoto comes back this time, you two can get married." Fugaku was ecstatic. Marrying Mikoto not only represented the union of the two of them, but also represented the transfer of power of the great elder. A double harvest of career and love. Fugaku was full of ambition. "Thank you, Grandpa." Hokage's office. Konoha F4 sat on the sofa and discussed things. "Hiruzen, it's been 3 days. What are we going to do about the 9 tails? Give me a definite answer. If you delay any longer, you won't be able to seal it. How can we explain this to the daimyo?" Although Danzo was questioning, he had already prepared to take the blame. Sarutobi Hiruzen knew his little tricks, but he still treated him as his confidant. Wasn't he used to take the blame? So, Sarutobi Hiruzen said naturally. "Danzo, I told you at the beginning that you must not take risks with the 9 tails, but you insisted on doing it. Now you understand, right? The 9 tails is missing, and the old Raikage has come to argue. However, I have already blocked it for you, Raikage. 3 cloud ninjas died, just pay some money. But you must solve the 9 tails issue within 3 days, otherwise I can't protect you if the daimyo blames you." Although Danzo had been prepared, he still almost couldn't help cursing. However, with many years of experience in taking the blame, he calmed down in a flash. Just as he was about to speak, a hurried footstep came. "Hokage-sama, something bad has happened." The voice came before the person arrived. Then, the door was opened forcefully. An Anbu member ran in breathlessly. "What happened?" Sarutobi Hiruzen asked calmly. The Anbu panted and said. "The granddaughter of the Uchiha elder was kidnapped. The murderer asked the Uchiha clan to pay 30 million taels to redeem him. Now the entire Uchiha clan has gone crazy." After he finished speaking, the 4 Konoha high-ranking officials were surprisingly quiet, leaving only the breathing of the Anbu. The veins on Danzo's forehead jumped. Because the eyes of the other 3 were all looking at him. "What do you mean by this?" Sarutobi Hiruzen asked suspiciously. "Didn't you do it?" The 4 of them had just decided on a strategy to suppress the Uchiha clan a few days ago, and today the eldest daughter of the Uchiha clan was kidnapped. Isn't it such a coincidence? Not me. Stop slandering me. Danzo's face was filled with grief and indignation. It's okay for others, but you, an old man like Sarutobi Hiruzen, have the nerve to question me? 50% of my bad reputation is because I took the blame for you. Of the remaining 50%, 40% was because I secretly carried out the tasks you ordered. The last 10% was what I did myself. You didn't forget all of this, did you? You still have the nerve to criticize me? Danzo was almost furious. But he couldn't say these words out loud. Danzo, tell me honestly, was it you who did it? This is no joke. The Uchiha clan doesn't have as good a temper as the Senju clan. These people are famous for being paranoid. If things go wrong, they will really dare to stage a coup. Udaten Koharu added another blow. I use personality. Danzo's face twitched. He suddenly remembered that in other people's minds, he no longer had any personality. So he changed his words. I swear on my character that it was definitely not me. Hiruzen, do you believe me or not? I have been taking the blame for you for so many years, and you dare not help me? Do you believe me or not? I will tell you everything. Ahem. Sarutobi Hiruzen obviously understood, and then he said. Although Danzo is unreliable, he still knows what is right and wrong. I believe him. Thank you. After hearing what Sarutobi Hiruzen said, Danzo wanted to bite him. What do you mean I am unreliable? You know who is unreliable. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen avoided Danzo's murderous eyes and changed the subject. Let's go together. Lest they do something out of the ordinary. At the gate of Konoha, Li Chongsheng walked in. After finishing his family affairs, he planned to come to Konoha to see if he could accept another disciple. Anyway, Kushina was taken care of by Tsunade, so there wouldn't be any big problems. Tsunade was in debt from gambling and had nowhere to go, so she just stayed here. Is this the legendary Konoha? That's all. The last time Li Chongsheng came, he met Kushina before he even entered the door. So this time, he really saw the scene of Konoha. At this time, the Second Ninja World War had just ended, and everything was in ruins, and there was a busy scene everywhere. But compared with the previous life, it was still a lot worse. After walking around for a while, Li Chongsheng was a little disappointed. Although there were many women on the street, they never triggered the system's prompt to recruit disciples. Just when he was about to find a hotel to stay, he suddenly found a large number of people running in one direction. Seeing this, Li Chongsheng quickly grabbed a young man and asked, "Brother, what happened?" The young man smiled and said, "The eldest daughter of the Uchiha clan was kidnapped, and everyone went to watch the fun. If you want to go, hurry up. If you delay any longer, you won't be able to get a good seat." After saying that, he ran over with a gloating expression on his face. Kidnapping? Li Chongsheng was full of surprise. In the ninja world, is there anyone who dares to kidnap Uchiha? They are famous for being paranoid, the kind that will not stop until they die. Miss Uchiha? Could it be Mikoto? Li Chongsheng suddenly reacted. Just after I adopted Naruto's mother, Nezusa's mother came to my door. Hehe, we already have Naruto mode, so it would be reasonable to have a Nezu mode as well. Uchiha residence. All members of the Uchiha clan gathered here. The surrounding area was crowded with people who came to watch the excitement. Li Chongsheng was also among them. I want all the information about this Kakuzu, the more detailed the better. Fugaku's face was as black as a pot of charcoal. Mikoto was not only his fiancée, but also his stepping stone to success. Now that she was kidnapped for no apparent reason, he was more anxious than anyone else. Yes. All the Uchiha clan members gnashed their teeth. Their eldest daughter was kidnapped. If this matter got out, how could they, the Uchiha clan, gain a foothold in the ninja world? It would be strange if they were not laughed at. At this time, a clan member came to report. Elders, clan leaders, the third generation is here, please wait in the main hall. No. Fugaku didn't care about that. Redeeming Mikoto was the most important thing. At this time, the elder who had been silent all the time suddenly said. Let's meet. After all, we are still Konoha's ninjas, so we should give them the respect they deserve. In addition, the ransom can also be discussed with the third generation. Fugaku, you are the clan leader, I leave this matter to you. Grandfather. Fugaku was anxious. If he couldn't redeem Mikoto, his life would be over. He couldn't even keep his current position. He was already in a state of panic, so how could he have the energy to receive Sarutobi Hiruzen? The elder was old and experienced, how could he not understand Fugaku's thoughts? Now the one who cared most about Mikoto's safety in the clan was probably Fugaku. Then he sighed. Well, leave the third generation to me. You will be the one to redeem Mikoto. Fugaku breathed a sigh of relief and then gritted his teeth and said. Grandpa, don't worry. If Mikoto gets hurt, I will skin him alive. The elder nodded and left with the tribe member who reported the news. Li Chongsheng, who was mixed in the crowd, looked at Fugaku gritting his teeth and showed a strange expression. Because he received a system notification sound. Host, please note. If you find a girl who meets the requirements, please accept her as your disciple as soon as possible. At the same time, the girl's information appeared in front of him. Name, Uchiha Mikoto. Faction, Konoha. Strength, Chunin. Qualification, A. Hehe, this corner is also a wonderful person. Hide the person in the Uchiha clan first, then go outside the city to negotiate the ransom. It's really dark under the lamp. Li Chongsheng admired Kakuzu a little. Although he did a lot of bad things, he kept his promises. However, he didn't intend to waste such a good opportunity. So he continued to watch the fun. At this time, an old man came over with a suitcase. Fugaku hurriedly stepped forward and asked. Fifth Elder, how is it? The fifth elder patted the suitcase and said. 30 million taels, not a cent less. After saying that, he sighed again and continued. Konoha has been in arrears with various payments to the family recently. The family has already reached the limit with this 30 million taels. Fugaku, I want you to promise that after rescuing Mikoto, you will bring back the 30 million ryo intact. Fugaku said confidently. Fifth Elder, rest assured, this time all of us Uchiha will be dispatched. I just don't believe that Kakuzu has 3 heads and 6 arms. The fifth elder nodded and handed the suitcase over. Fugaku then looked at the tribesman and said hatefully. You will ambush her in advance. After I rescue the young lady, you will kill Kakuzu directly without asking for permission. Have you understood? I understand. The Uchiha were all rubbing their hands in anticipation. Let's go. Fugaku roared. He led all the Uchiha to the trading location. Without the excitement, the crowd began to disperse. Li Chongsheng took advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention and dodged into the backyard of the Uchiha. When Fugaku returns and doesn't find Mikoto, he will probably fight to the death with Kakuzu. Li Chongsheng smiled to himself. He couldn't help but want to see what kind of expression Fugaku would have. Fortunately, I have the system, otherwise the Uchiha clan is so large that I don't know when I will find it. Li Chongsheng followed the system's instructions and swaggered through the courtyards, finally arriving in front of an elegant courtyard. This is it. Li Chongsheng walked in. Not long after, he found Mikan unconscious in a woman's bedroom. What a nice view! The real person is much more beautiful than the one in the comics. Li Chongsheng couldn't help but sigh. This place is not suitable for long stay. Let's go back first. Li Chongsheng picked up Mikan and walked away. In a dense forest, Fugaku and Kakuzu stood facing each other. Where are the people? Where's the money? Xiaodu snorted coldly. Check the goods first, and we'll let you go if the money is okay. Fugaku thought for a moment and threw the suitcase over. Kakuzu took it and began to check the goods. Yes, Exactly 30 million taels. Fugaku said angrily. Where are the people? Jiaoda made a seal with his hands, slapped the suitcase with his palm, and then said. Don't worry, I always keep my word. Since there is no problem with the payment, I will tell you. Miss Mikoto is in her own boudoir, so she must have woken up by now. You can see her when you go back. After saying that, Kakuzu's body suddenly turned into a cloud of smoke, and the suitcase in his hand began to fall. But before it hit the ground, it also disappeared with a bang. Fugaku thought to himself that it was not good, and just when he was about to take action, it was too late. Shadow Clone. Summoning Technique. First, use the Shadow Clone to put the psychic spell on the suitcase. Then use the main body to teleport the suitcase from somewhere else. What a cunning old fox! Fugaku was very upset. In fact, the Sharingan can see through the Shadow Clone. But he was too confused and forgot to open the Sharingan. At this time, a large number of tribesmen gathered around. Fugaku stopped the tribesmen from asking questions and said. Go back first. Pooh! If you want to take me as your apprentice, wait for the next life. Get out of the way, I want to go back. Misaka crossed her arms and showed a proud expression. Li Chongsheng blinked. It's not right. This style of painting doesn't match the original. But on second thought, he was relieved. As the eldest daughter of the Uchiha clan and the apple of the eye of the great elder, it is normal for Misaka to be a little willful. As for the gentleness and virtuousness in the original book, it is estimated that she gradually changed after becoming a mother. At this time, Li Chongsheng and Misaka were in a forest. Li Chongsheng originally wanted to take a shortcut back, but he didn't expect that the medicine given by Kakuzu was too weak, and Misaka woke up halfway. That's why the scene in front of him happened. You really don't want to? Humph! Misaki snorted coldly. Her disdain was clearly expressed. What do you want me to do to make you your disciple? Li Chongsheng frowned. Mikan rolled her eyes and said. My Uchiha clan is the most powerful family in Konoha. As the eldest daughter of the Uchiha clan, do you think it is possible for you to just take a random person who came out of nowhere as your teacher? Li Chongsheng sighed. You are really spoiled, girl. He always liked to reason and never resorted to violence unless he could not win the argument. What do you want to do? Looking at Li Chongsheng approaching step by step, Mikan panicked. Li Chongsheng grabbed one of Mikan's hands and asked. I'll ask you one last time, are you willing or not? Although Mikan was a little flustered, her sixth sense as a woman told her that the person in front of her had no intention of hurting her. So, facing Li Changshen's questioning, the eldest lady's temper completely exploded, and she said stubbornly. Unwilling. Then you can't blame me. After Li Chongsheng finished speaking, he grabbed Mikoto's shoulders and gently turned her so that she was facing away from him. Then, he gently pushed a tree. Mikoto staggered and almost hit the tree, so she quickly held on with her hands. At the same time, he turned around and said angrily. Bastard, what are you doing? Li Chongsheng didn't say anything, but stretched out his hand and pressed hard on her waist, and Mikan's beautiful buttocks involuntarily lifted up. Ah! Being put in such an embarrassing position, Misaki knew what the other party was going to do even if she was dumb. Don't want. You pervert! I am Miss Uchiha, you can't do this to me. My grandfather will not let you go. Pa! Before he finished speaking, Li Chongsheng slapped him. Ah! I thought he was going to molest her, but I didn't expect he was going to spank her. As the eldest daughter of the Uchiha family, no one dared to touch her hair since she was a child. Not to mention spanking her. Misakato's mind went blank, and she stood there in a daze. Pa! Another slap came over her, bringing her back to her senses. Ah, you bastard! Humiliation, resentment, pain, and other negative emotions filled her mind, and she wanted to bite the man in front of her to death. Bang! Ah! Misaka screamed again. However, Li Chongsheng felt as if there was some pleasure in it. He shook his head, drove the messy thoughts out of his mind, and continued to do it. Snap! 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 Disciple Uchiha Mikoto, I pay my respects to the master. Mikoto knelt on the ground and bowed deeply to Li Chongsheng. Li Chongsheng rubbed his hands. His hands were numb. You want to take me as your master, but is it voluntary? As a teacher, I never force others. Misaki said obediently. Absolutely voluntary. I have admired you for a long time and have long wanted to become your disciple. Li Chongsheng nodded in satisfaction and said. That's good. Good disciple, get up. At the same time, the system's voice sounded. Congratulations to the host for successfully recruiting a disciple. The host obtains the 3 Megatama Sharingan, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Manjaki Sharingan. The host gains 0.8 chakras, triggering 100 times crit. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 80 chakras. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 mal points. Li Chongsheng looked at his personal panel. Name, Li Changshen. Level, early stage of film. Chakra, 10,080 calories. Bloodline, ultimate sage body, Manjaki Sharingan. Physical skills, none. Ninjutsu, multiple shadow clone technique, sage mode. Illusion, none. Points, 400,000. The strength has not improved, it is still in the early stage of the shadow level. It seems that after reaching the shadow level, it is becoming increasingly difficult to improve your strength. However, after I got the Mangekyo, my real combat power is definitely more than just the early stage of cage level. After getting the Mangekyo, Li Chongsheng liked Mikoto more and more. By the way, my teacher's name is Li Chongsheng. You are the second disciple accepted by the master. There is another senior sister above you. Misaka said respectfully. I will remember this, disciple. Li Chongsheng laughed and said. Haha, my good disciple, follow me back. After saying that, he took Mikoto's hand and left quickly. Uchiha Station. Clan leader, we didn't find the young lady. Fugaku stood outside the meeting room with a gloomy face. As soon as he came back, he organized the clan members to conduct a large-scale search of the entire clan. But as the clan members reported one by one, his heart sank to the bottom. Without Mikoto, how could he keep his position as clan leader? Moreover, he lost 30 million ryo in this transaction. If it were in the past, 30 million ryo would be insignificant. But now Konoha's suppression has begun, and various fees have been delayed. It is a time when money is urgently needed. How can he explain to the elders? No, we must think of a way. Fugaku's mind was spinning rapidly. After a moment, a fierce look flashed across his face. Then, he respectfully walked into the meeting hall. Fugaku greets all the elders. The elder looked at Fugaku with a complicated expression. He originally wanted to go and trade with Kakuzu himself, but at Fugaku's insistence, he agreed to let Fugaku go. This led to the current situation. He can't even handle such a small matter. I overestimated him. The elder was very disappointed with Fugaku. Please excuse me. Fugaku stood up and said through gritted teeth. Elders, I want to resign from the position of clan leader. Please approve it. Several elders looked indifferent, as if they didn't hear it. The eldest elder said without comment. Oh. The Fugaku clan has been strong and prosperous for many years, why do they suddenly want to resign? Fugaku heard the dissatisfaction of the elder, but he could only pretend not to know. It is my incompetence that has led to the current situation. so, I want to solve this matter myself. I can't take care of the clan affairs for the time being, so it's better for me to resign from the position of clan leader. At this time, the fifth elder asked. How do you want to solve it? He was in charge of the family finances, and he was the one who personally handed over the 30 million taels to Fugaku. So, he also wanted to see how Fugaku would handle it. Fugaku said word by word. Find Mikoto. Recover 30 million taels. Kill Kakuzu. From today on, I will leave my family. No matter how long it takes, if you don't complete these 3 things, you will never return to the tribe. Several elders were moved when they heard this. He is a ruthless man. The eldest elder also became more kind after hearing this. Don't worry, do it. You don't have to resign as the patriarch. When you come back, I will continue to be your clan leader. Fugaku was very excited. He paid such a high price, wasn't it just for this sentence? Thank you, great elder. After saying this, he bowed to the elders and turned to leave. Hey, let's go. The elder sighed. Soon, the elder was the only one left in the meeting room. At this time, a woman in her 20s walked in. She had long purple hair, a Konoha forehead protector, a black gown, and a chakra knife on her waist. I'm sorry, elder. I failed to protect the young lady. The woman's face was filled with guilt. She was the bodyguard assigned by the great elder to Misaki. She left for a while because of something urgent. Unexpectedly, Misaki was kidnapped in such a short time. The great elder sighed and said, Hilly, after all these years, you still won't call me father. Uchiha's Hilly was silent. The elder didn't care and continued. I was seriously injured on the battlefield and thought I was going to die, but your mother saved me. We hid in the cave, and she took good care of me and healed my wounds. As time went by, we gradually developed feelings for each other. I know she is a married woman, and we shouldn't be like this. But in that situation, I endured, and finally I couldn't hold it anymore. Do not talk. Chiri interrupted the great elder. This kind of thing was really hard for her to accept. Before she was 20 years old, she always thought that her father was called Uchiha Jing, the pride of Uchiha and the hero of Konoha. Although he died early, she always regarded her father as her goal. Who knew that when she was 20 years old, her mother died of illness? Before her death, her mother asked her to take a letter to find the great elder. She thought it was just a family affair, so she didn't think much and went there in a daze. Who knew that this trip would give her a big surprise? She was not the biological daughter of her father Uchiha Jing, but the illegitimate daughter of her mother and the great elder in her early years. After the great elder knew about it, he was very fond of her. Although he couldn't openly admit their relationship. But in the name of taking care of the children of the heroes in the family, all kinds of resources were tilted towards her like money. Let her become an elite ninja in just a few years. But when she thought of the man who let her ride on his back when she was a child, she couldn't say the word father. The great elder looked at Tsuhiri, his eyes moistened and said, I transferred you here to be Mikoto's bodyguard. Others think that I love my granddaughter, but in fact, I just want you to spend more time with me. Hilly, I am old and I won't live for many more years. Can't you fulfill my last wish? A tear fell from Hilly's eyes, but he still turned his head away stubbornly. Great elder, it was because I left at the last minute that the young lady got into trouble. I will definitely find her. After saying this, without waiting for the elder to speak, he disappeared in front of the elder. Alas! The elder sighed deeply. In the mansion, Li Chongsheng and Mikan walked in. Master, where have you been? Why did you come back so late? The voice came before the person arrived. Then a fiery red figure ran out. Hey! Sister Mikoto! Kushina was surprised to see Mikoto following Li Chongsheng. Although the relationship between Senju and Uchiha was not very good, they had a good relationship and were considered best friends. "Nana, why are you here?" Misakato was also surprised, and then looked at Li Chongsheng. Although the village had issued a gag order regarding Kushina's disappearance, she was the eldest daughter of the Uchiha clan after all, so she still knew something. Rumor has it that Kushina was kidnapped by the Raikage, and she didn't expect to appear here. Judging from her own experience, according to her estimation, Kushina should be like her, who was spanked by Li Chongsheng and had to surrender. Kushina took Misakato's hand and said with a smile, "Not only am I here, my elder sister is here too." Tsunade-sama. Mikoto was shocked. Tsunade-sama was also spanked? Okay, let's stop reminiscing about the past. There will be plenty of time in the future. Li Chongsheng interrupted their conversation. "Let me explain it formally. I don't care what you called me before, now that you have become my disciples, you must follow the rules of the section. Mikoto, Nana is my eldest disciple, you should call her senior sister. Nana, Mikoto is the new disciple of the master, you should call her junior sister. After these words came out, the two girls looked at each other. Mikoto's face was embarrassed. She was more than 3 years older than Kushina, and she had always treated Kushina as a younger sister, but now she had to call her sister? Kushina was a little proud, she finally became a sister. If the elder sister also became the master's apprentice. Master, senior sister. Mikoto said with an embarrassed expression. Junior sister. Kushina replied with a smile. Li Chongsheng then said. Nana, take Mikoto to choose a room. Let her get familiar with the environment here. Mikoto, come lie down in the backyard later, and I will formally teach you how to practice. Yes, master. Kushina took Mikoto's hand. Junior sister, let's go. After seeing the two girls off, Li Chongsheng came to the backyard and lay on a rattan chair, thinking about how to call Mikoto. Chidori must be there, without Chidori it wouldn't be the Urshiza mode. However, Mikoto's chakra is still too little, only 0.8 card. I should buy her more chakra dan in the future. As for the kaleidoscope, don't worry. Let's wait until she learns Chidori flow. After thinking it over, Li Chongsheng studied his kaleidoscope again. After studying it for a while, he was very surprised. It turned out to be the divine power of Brother Tuzi. After opening the kaleidoscope, its ability varies from person to person. But for me, the system can only send the existing. Therefore, the appearance of Shinwei is not surprising. Li Chongsheng was still studying Shinwei when a voice suddenly sounded beside him. Master! Li Chongsheng came back to his senses and found that Mikan had stood in front of him without him knowing when. Have you chosen the room? Yes. Li Chongsheng nodded and said. Mikoto, I have discovered that your chakra level is low. Therefore, before you start practicing, you still need to increase your chakra. After saying that, he flipped his hand and a chakra pill appeared in his palm. This is Chakradan. If you eat it, you can increase your chakra by 1 card. Misaki showed a skeptical expression. She had never heard of the existence of chakra pills, whose chakra is not extracted with great effort. Based on her understanding of Li Chongsheng, she even suspected that this was simply an aphrodisiac. But the situation was stronger than people, even if it was really an aphrodisiac, she had to pinch her nose and eat it. Thank you, master. After taking the chakra pill, Mikoto closed her eyes and began to digest the drug. An hour later, Mikoto increases 1 card of chakra, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for increasing 100 chakras. At this time, Mikoto opened her eyes. She clearly felt that her chakra had more than doubled, and her heart was shocked beyond words. There really is a pill that can increase chakra, how is that possible? But the facts were before her eyes, and she couldn't help but believe it. If this kind of medicine were to be made public, I wonder how much bloodshed it would cause. This lustful master is really a master. At this time, Li Chongsheng took out a scroll and threw it over, saying, "Your chakra has dual attributes of lightning and fire, so you are definitely not lacking in fire attribute ninjutsu. So, this is the A-level lightning attribute ninjutsu Chidori. This technique can only exert its maximum power when combined with the Sharingan. If you can learn it in one afternoon, it will be worth the painstaking efforts of your teacher." In Li Changshen's memory, it seems that Nizuzi also learned Chidori in just one afternoon. So, Mikoto should not be much different. You should know that in the original work, Mikoto is a real jonin in the official documents of Konoha. Not just a housewife. Moreover, people verbally divide the levels of ninjas into 7 levels: Genin, Chunin, Jonin, Elite Jonin, Kage, Super Kage and 6 paths. But in the official documents, there are only 3 levels of Genin, Chunin and Jonin. Even if the 6-path sage comes and wants to assess the level, it can only be a Jonin. Therefore, Mikoto's strength in the original work is actually very strong. Nightfall. Chidori. Mikoto formed seals with both hands, and her right hand was instantly covered with arcs of electricity. As the arcs gathered more and more, the scars on her hand increased. Finally, after the arcs reached saturation, a sound similar to the cry of a bird came from inside. "Hold on to. The chakra transformation has begun." Li Chongsheng stood not far away, observing closely. As the sound began, more and more birds chirped. In the blink of an eye, it was as if thousands of birds were chirping at the same time. Success! Feeling the electric arc on her hand becoming softer and softer, Misaki finally breathed a sigh of relief. Kushina and Tsunade, who heard the noise, also came to the backyard at the same time. This technique is really cool." Little stars lit up in Kushina's beautiful eyes. Chakra qualitative change. Tsunade is stronger than Kushina in both strength and knowledge, and she saw the key at a glance. Attaching lightning chakra to the hand should be a technique similar to stabbing. If we continue to develop it, we can also attach chakra to the whole body. However, this technique is too difficult to practice, and if you are not careful, you may become disabled. It's too messy. Tsunade glanced at Li Chongsheng. Even so, she still felt deep admiration for Li Chongsheng who developed this technique. Sharingan, open! The arc on her hand became more docile than ever before, and Mikoto also felt the power in it. Then, she ran towards a big tree in the yard. The old tree that required 2 people to hug was cut into 2 pieces by her palm like thin paper. Mikoto learns Chidori, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Chidori flow. You are indeed my disciple. However, the Chidori technique is only the basis for practicing the Chidori style. Li Chongsheng looked at Mikoto, who was still panting, and was very satisfied. Chidori only cost him 50,000 points, which was a good deal. Chidori style. Misaka looked surprised. After learning Chidori, she felt that this technique and Sharingan were a perfect match. At this time, she was a little surprised to hear Li Chongsheng say that Chidori was just the basis for practicing Chidori style. Chidori flow. Li Chongsheng didn't need to make a seal. A large number of silver arcs emerged from his body, wandering on his body, moving and jumping along the surface of his body. Mikoto's eyes lit up, and she couldn't help but feel yearning. Kushina was envious, but also a little indignant. Why did he only teach Mikoto and not her? She also wanted to learn. Tsunade was shocked. She just said that this technique could attach chakra to the whole body, but she didn't expect that others had already developed it. Li Chongsheng chuckled and said, "Chidori is a qualitative change of chakra. Adding deformation to the qualitative change is Chidori style." And at this point, Li Chongsheng pointed to the ancient tree that had fallen to the ground. Chidori sharp spear. A beam of light composed of electric arcs pierced through the ancient tree in an instant at lightning speed. Moreover, the Chidori style can evolve into any form you want. Mikoto admitted that she was moved. And she felt that the Chidori style was tailor-made for them, the Uchiha. The look she gave Li Chongsheng was also full of deep admiration. Master, I want to learn Chidori Ryu. Li Chongsheng chuckled and said. You should practice Chidori first. When you have mastered the Chidori technique, it won't be too late to learn the Chidori style. Oh! Mikoto's face was full of disappointment. At this time, Tsunade walked up to Mikoto, a ball of blue chakra lit up in her hand, and began to heal Mikoto's wounds. Your master is right. The risk of practicing the thousand birds style is too great. Don't try it before you have completely mastered the thousand birds style. After saying that, he turned back to Li Chongsheng and said. Then again, Chidori is also very risky. Aren't you afraid that the girl will be crippled by you? Li Chongsheng smiled awkwardly and returned to his room. Kushina also returned to her room silently. She was still upset about what happened just now. Although the Sage mode is also very powerful, the Chidori style is obviously more handsome. When you have a new person, you forget the old one. What a lecherous master! Suddenly, I don't know what I thought of, and Kushina showed a fox-like smile. Humph, I just don't believe that I, Kushina, can't beat Mikoto. At the border of the land of fire, Fugaku and Chisato, the two brothers in distress, stood together, staring at each other. One of them was forced to do this, while the other took the initiative to ask Sakura. Since finding Mikoto was their common mission, they traveled together. Chief, what should we do now? Fugaku's current position is certainly not in vain. All the clues are focused on that bastard Kakuzu. Only by finding him can we know the whereabouts of Mikoto. Chiri frowned and said. The Kakuzu are all rebel ninjas with no fixed place to stay, how can we find them? Fugaku said confidently. Do you know about underground exchanges? There, as long as you can afford the price, you can get any information you want. It's not difficult to find out Kakuzu's whereabouts. Chiri is a good fighter, but he knows nothing about this kind of thing, so he can only follow Fugaku's arrangements. The two discussed for a while and then set off to the nearest exchange. Early in the morning, Li Chongsheng was half asleep when he suddenly felt something furry in his bed. He opened his eyes suddenly. Nana! Why are you here? Kushina hugged Li Changshen's neck with both hands, and said in a half-awake voice. Sleep a little longer. Li Chongsheng pried open Zhu Xinduo's hands and said coldly. You traitor, why are you in your teacher's bed? Kushina finally woke up, with a nonchalant look on her face. She pouted and said. I am just worried that master will be lonely at night. This is extremely treasonous. This is extremely treasonous. Explain. What on earth do you want to do? Seeing this, Kushina quickly said with a smile. Hey, master, I told you not to be angry. I also want to learn the Chidori style. Li Chongsheng was stunned. Just for this? Kushina nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Li Chongsheng scolded. Nonsense! You don't have lightning chakra, why do you learn Chidori style? Seeing this, Kushina simply stopped pretending. She showed a savage look and pulled Li Changshen's arm and shook it. I don't care, I'm going to learn. Li Chongsheng was helpless. If someone saw this scene, it would be hard to explain. As a last resort, he spent another 50,000 points. This is the A-level ninjutsu, Raise Nan. In terms of power, it is no less powerful than Chidori. And it has stronger growth potential. Kushina looked at the scroll in her hand, somewhat reluctantly. She still preferred Chidori flow. Seeing this, Li Chongsheng could only use his trump card, Coax. This is a new ninjutsu that the master developed just for you. I originally wanted to wait until you completely mastered the sage mode before giving it to you. In that case, I'll give it to you in advance. A new ninjutsu developed specifically for me. Kushina was immediately moved and tightly grasped the scroll in her hand. Suddenly, she threw herself into Li Changshen's arms and burst into tears. Master, woo woo woo. I'm so happy. No one has ever been so nice to me. Woo-hoo. Li Changsheng was flustered and embarrassed. Okay, you get up first. I will treat you better in the future, be good. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 7 days have passed. In these 7 days, Mikoto has mastered the Chidori skillfully and started to study the Chidori style. Kushina has also mastered the use of the Raise Nan. Interestingly, like Naruto, she also uses the shadow clone to assist. As for Tsunade, apart from occasionally instructing Kushina and Mikoto, she just hides in the room to practice alone. Li Changsheng lay on the rattan chair and glanced at his personal panel. Name, Li Changshen. Level, early stage of film. Chakra, 10,180 calories. Bloodline, ultimate sage body, Manjiki Sharingan. Physical skills, none. Ninjutsu, multiple shadow clone technique, sage mode, Chidori style, Raise Nan style. Illusion, none. Points, 290,000. It's so hard to earn these points. Mikoto's kaleidoscope is not found yet. I should take some time to visit Konoha and take in another disciple. At this time, Tsunade came out of the room. Where are Nana and the others? Li Changsheng asked casually. Out shopping. It's good to relax once in a while. Tsunade said and was about to go back to her room when she was stopped by Li Changsheng. Have you been refining chakra recently? Tsunade was a little puzzled. Chakra is originally refined through accumulation over time. What else can I do if I don't refine chakra? Li Changsheng thought about it and said. I advise you to refine as little chakra as possible. Tsunade asked doubtfully. Why? Li Changsheng explained. Chakra is created by combining mental energy with physical energy. This approach is undoubtedly tapping the potential of the body. If it is a life and death situation, this approach is understandable. However, if you practice in this way, there will be many serious consequences. For example, when the body's potential is exhausted, it will die. In this world, many powerful ninjas often do not live long, and this is the reason. Tsunade obviously did not believe it. This completely overturned her understanding of chakra. Or rather, it overturned the entire ninja world's understanding of chakra. What nonsense! After saying that, he planned to go back and continue to refine chakra. Li Changsheng continued. It's not that no one understands this truth. Have you heard of the Otsutsuki clan? Tsunade thought for a moment and shook her head. I haven't heard of it. Li Changsheng explained. The legendary goddess of the rabbit comes from this family. The people of this family never refine chakra. Tsunade was surprised. How do they practice then? Li Changsheng narrowed his eyes and said. Plunder. The side effects of refining chakra are too great, but if someone else refines it, it doesn't matter. Tsunade saw that Li Changsheng looked calm and didn't seem to be lying. But this was inconsistent with her cognition, and she was a little undecided for a while. So she asked. What should I do then? Li Changsheng chuckled. How about becoming my disciple? Not only can it solve your chakra problem, it can also help you awaken the bloodline of your Senju clan. Big sister, come and help. Before Tsunade could answer, Kushina's voice came. After a while, Kushina and Mikoto came in carrying an unconscious girl. Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief. She almost wanted to agree to Li Changshen's conditions for a moment. Although she didn't quite believe Li Changshen's remarks about chakra, she still cared about awakening the Senjua bloodline. If she could really awaken the Senjua bloodline, maybe she could rebuild the Senjua clan. This was still very tempting to her. Fortunately, Kushina and the others came back in time and suppressed her momentary impulse. Excessive chakra consumption, no big deal. Just take some rest. Tsunade checked the girl. Kushina and Mikoto were relieved after hearing that. At this time, Li Chongsheng said. Why did you bring someone back from shopping? Kushina said. We didn't bring it back. When we came back, we found her fainted at the door, so we carried her in. Mikoto also said. We shouldn't have made the decision on our own. Please punish us, master. Li Chongsheng said. You didn't do anything wrong, why should you be punished? Okay, let's find a room for this girl to have a good rest. If it were normal, he would definitely blame the two girls for meddling in other people's business. But this time was different, because this girl actually triggered the system prompt. Host, please note. If you find a girl who meets the requirements, please accept her as your disciple as soon as possible. At the same time, the girl's information appeared in front of him. Name, Summer Star. Faction, Star Ninja Village. Strength, Chunin. Qualification, A. Li Chongsheng smiled. Star Ninja Village. If I remember correctly, it should be the one in Bear Country. The next day, Li Chongsheng touched a body again in the bed. Since Kushina had been harassing him a lot these days, he naturally patted her hips and said lazily. Nana, it's time to go back. Master, it's me. A voice came into Li Changshen's ears. Li Chongsheng realized it was not Kushina's voice and suddenly woke up. Mikoto, why is it you? Mikoto pouted, looking pitiful. Aren't you disappointed, Nana? Li Chongsheng shook his head quickly. I'm not, I didn't, don't talk nonsense. How can you slander someone's innocence out of thin air? Mikoto rolled her eyes and said. Nana often comes here in the middle of the night, and people have seen her several times. Li Chongsheng patted his forehead. Kushina is wild, and they really have that kind of relationship, so after he said it several times without any effect, he just let it go. But you, Mikoto, a virgin, why would you join in the fun? It's really hard to learn good things, but it's easy to learn bad things. Tell me, what do you want to do? Misaka was secretly happy when she heard this. After getting along for a long time, she still liked Li Chongsheng very much. Moreover, more importantly, she didn't want to lose to Kushina. She had already lost a bit by changing from a sister to a younger sister. She couldn't lose anything else. I can never master the transformation of Chidori flow. Master, please help me. Facing Mikan's clip sound, Li Chongsheng almost broke down and couldn't help wiping the sweat from his forehead. Didn't I explain it from beginning to end? Why don't you know how to do it yet? Misaki blushed, and suddenly turned over, lying on the bed, with her buttocks raised. I am stupid, master, please punish me. Li Chongsheng swallowed his saliva. An hour later, Li Chongsheng opened the door and saw Kushina coming over. Master, the girl is awake. Junior sister? Why are you here? Li Chongsheng panicked and said quickly. She came to pay respects to the teacher. Unlike you, you won't get up even when the sun is shining on your butt. Mikoto smiled. Senior sister, I'm leaving first. After saying that, she walked out of the door calmly. Kushina looked into the room suspiciously. How could Li Chongsheng let her look blindly? The blood stains on the bed sheet were not dry yet. She quickly blocked it with her body and said. Now that you're awake, go check it out. Let's go. Kushina said oh and turned to leave. Li Chongsheng wiped his sweat and followed. My name is Xia Rixing, and I am a Jonin from the Star Ninja Village. Thanks to you for saving me this time, thank you very much. Xia Rixing bowed deeply to everyone. You are about my age, but you have become a Jonin. Very impressive. Kushina spoke frankly. Xia Rixing blushed and said shyly. It's not bad. Li Chongsheng smiled secretly. He still roughly remembered the plot of the Star Ninja Village. This village was too weak, so they liked to exaggerate their strength to scare people. In fact, even their so-called Star Shadow was just a Jonin. It's not surprising that Xia Rixing said she was a Jonin even though she only had the strength of a Chunin. But Li Chongsheng didn't care about these. What he cared about was the girl in front of him. How could he not eat the fat meat that was delivered to his door? Girl, I think you have amazing bones, you are a good material to be a ninja. Are you willing to take me as your teacher? Kushina and Mikoto looked at each other. They read the same words from each other's eyes, the lecherous master is going to fool the little girl again. Tsunade also looked at Li Chongsheng suspiciously. Could this guy have this kind of master-disciple fetish? As a top medical ninja, how could she not see that Kushina and Mikoto were not virgins? Xia Rixing also thought wrongly, and her pretty face blushed. How can you flirt like this? You want to take me as your disciple just after meeting me, let's see what you will do if I really agree. But out of modesty, she still shook her head and said. No. I am here on behalf of the Star Ninja Village to visit Konoha. I have important things to do. Can't delay too long. Li Chongsheng certainly wouldn't let her leave, chuckled and said. Diplomatic mission to Konoha. Why not tell me about it? Then, pointing at Tsunade, he said. She is Tsunade-sama, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha, the top leader among the top leaders of Konoha. If you tell us, we might be able to give you some advice. Tsunade looked at Li Chongsheng speechlessly. What kind of high-ranking person is she? After the demise of the Senju, she was just a mascot for Konoha. Her role was to clear the fact that Sarutobi Hiruzen dismembered the Senju. You are Lady Tsunade. Xia Rixing immediately looked at Tsunade with admiration. There are not many female ninjas who are famous all over the world, and Tsunade is one of them. In terms of popularity, she can even be said to be the #1 female ninja. Tsunade nodded helplessly. Kushina also took out her Konoha forehead protector and said with a smile. We are all Konoha ninjas. Tell us what's going on. Maybe we can help you. She really likes gossip. She's just short of moving a small stool and cutting a big watermelon. After hesitating for a moment, Xia Rixing finally said it. Actually, I went to Konoha this time in the hope that Konoha could protect our Star Ninja Village. Li Chongsheng frowned. The plot of Star Ninja Village should have taken place in Naruto's era, not so early. So he asked. Did something happen in your Xingnan village? Xia Rixing nodded and said. Recently, a sand ninja has set his sights on our village's treasure. They asked us to hand it over within half a month, otherwise they would massacre the whole village. Our Star Ninja Village is too weak to offend her. So. Li Chongsheng understood immediately. It should be that the stone in the Star Ninja Village was coveted by someone. The stone fell from the sky 200 years ago and can be used to cultivate chakra. After being picked up by a ninja, he developed the peacock magic and founded the Star Ninja Village. So you hope that Konoha will intervene in this matter? Xia Rixing nodded. Li Chongsheng asked. Then what can you use to convince Konoha? Xia Rixing asked back. The Hokage is fair and selfless, and is eager to help others. This has long been known throughout the ninja world. As long as I tell you about the crisis in the Star Ninja Village, isn't it natural for Konoha to step in? Is Sarutobi Hiruzen fair and selfless? And he's also eager to do good for others? Li Chongsheng looked at Xia Rixing with a bewildered look on his face, feeling a little helpless. Is NT this a little too naive? However, it's not her fault. It's really that Sarutobi Hiruzen is too good at managing his reputation. If this girl really went to Konoha, Li Chongsheng could completely guess the subsequent plot. First, Sarutobi Hiruzen would send someone to go back with her to solve the problem. After the problems are solved, Sarutobi Hiruzen would evaluate the mission report in detail. If he doesn't like the stone, it's fine. If he does, then Danzo and the root will come to life. Afterwards, push the blame to the Sand Village. If it can't be pushed away, then the pot shadow Danzo will take the blame again. Tsunade couldn't help but twitch her lips when she heard what Xia Rixing said. But in the end, she didn't say anything. Li Chongsheng said at this time. How about this? I will help you deal with the Sand Village and make sure they have no thoughts about your Star Ninja Village anymore. The condition is that you become my disciple. Xia Rixing showed a surprised expression. She originally thought that Li Chongsheng said this because he was interested in her. Now it seems that Li Changshen's mind is very simple, he just wants to take her as his disciple. Kushina and Mikoto saw Xia Rixing's expression and said in their hearts, "You are still too young to understand the routine of the lustful master." This. Xia Rixing hesitated a little. But she could sense that among the people present, Li Chongsheng was the main one. Even Tsunade was no exception. Could he be the Hokage's son? Even if he is not, he should be one of the top leaders of Konoha. Thinking of this, Xia Rixing's heartbeat quickened a lot. If he could be related to the top leaders of Konoha, who would dare to touch their Star Ninja Village? After a long time, Xia Rixing made up his mind and knelt on the ground. "Master, please accept my disciple's greetings. Congratulations to the host for successfully recruiting a disciple. Congratulations to the host for reaching the mid-level shadow level. The host gains 0.5 chakra, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 50 chakras. Congratulations to the host for getting 100,000 mal points. I have accepted 2 disciples in a row, and finally I have been promoted from the early stage of the shadow level to the middle stage." Li Chongsheng sighed. 2 days later, a carriage drove into the Bear Country. Sitting in the carriage were Li Chongsheng and Xia Rixing. After Xia Rixing became his disciple, Li Chongsheng prepared to go to the Star Ninja Village. Before leaving, he bought 15 chakra pills, 5 for each of the 3 disciples. Then he asked Kushina and Mikoto to practice well and not run around. Finally, he asked Tsunade to take care of them, and then he went with peace of mind. Along the way, Li Chongsheng opened the Mangekyo from time to time to mark the coordinates. Speaking of which, the Kamui technique is also outstanding among the Mangekyo Sharingan. There are 2 Mangekyo, the left eye is mainly for attack, and the right eye is mainly for defense. The left eye focuses on long-range attacks and can distort any space within the field of vision. The right eye can absorb itself or external objects into the Kamui space, and even transfer part of the body to the Kamui space, thus being immune to damage. Moreover, after entering the Kamui space, you can also come out from different locations, which is equivalent to space teleportation. But using Kamui teleportation requires marking the coordinates. Since Li Chongsheng got the kaleidoscope, he has never left his house, and naturally he has not marked the coordinates. Stop! At this time, Li Chongsheng suddenly spoke. "Master, what's wrong?" Xia Rixing, who was driving the carriage, lifted the curtain. After taking the chakra pill, she realized the terrifying nature of this cheap master and was even more awed by him. "You wait for me here." Li Chongsheng jumped off the carriage and walked into the jungle beside the road. Following the prompts of the system, he moved forward. Not long after, he saw a purple-haired woman wearing a Konoha forehead protector lying in the jungle. It was unknown whether she was dead or alive. Name: Uchiha Chiri. Faction: Konoha. Strength: Elite Jonin. Qualification: S. Uchiha Yuri. Why haven't I heard of it? Li Chongsheng asked in confusion. In fact, it's not his fault that he hasn't heard of it. In his previous life, few people knew this name. But if you mention the ruthless person who developed Izanami, then everyone knows it. However, if you can't figure it out, don't think about it. Li Chongsheng picked up Zhili and walked towards the carriage. Master, who is she? Xia Rixing was a little confused. She thought Li Chongsheng was going to solve a physiological problem, so why did he suddenly bring a woman back? However, when she saw the forehead protector on Zhili's head, she was relieved. Obviously, she still thought Li Chongsheng was also a Konoha ninja. Let's go to the nearest town to buy some medicine first. Li Chongsheng carried Zhili to the carriage and then instructed. Xia Rixing nodded and drove the carriage again. Half a day later. Master, we will reach Xingnan village tonight. Xia Rixing's excited voice came from outside. Li Chongsheng fed the last mouthful of medicine into Zhili's mouth, and then said. Don't worry, let the carriage go as smoothly as possible. Xia Rixing agreed. At this time, Zhili suddenly coughed twice and slowly opened his eyes. Where is this? Li Chongsheng said calmly. You fainted on the side of the road, and I picked you up. Zhili glanced at Li Chongsheng and said softly. Thank you. Suddenly, Zhili remembered something and struggled to get up. Your injury is too serious, you should lie down first. When you get better, you can go wherever you want. Li Chongsheng pushed Zhili back again. Zhili struggled and said. No. We finally found that bastard, we can't let him get away. Li Chongsheng saw Zhili was still struggling and shook his head. Since reasoning was useless, he could only use force. So he put Zhili's body on his legs, with his back facing up. What are you going to do? Zhili was a little confused. Li Chongsheng said coldly. I told you you can't go anywhere now. If you don't obey, you will be punished. After saying that, he slapped Zhili's butt hard. Ah! Zhili was stunned by the slap. Is there such a way to persuade people? Li Chongsheng didn't care about that and slapped him again. Snap! 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 Xia Rixing, who was outside the carriage, blushed and took a sneak peek at the scenery inside the carriage from time to time. Inside the carriage, Zhili curled up in a corner, tears still lingering on her face, and whispered about her own story. You and Fugaku dare to capture Kakuzu. Li Chongsheng was speechless. Do you think you are Xiaoqiang? Zhili said aggrievedly. What else can we do if we don't catch the corners? I lost Miss Mikoto, I must find her. Li Chongsheng glanced at Zhili. What would happen if this girl knew that this matter had nothing to do with Kakuzu Mao, and that he had just intercepted her? However, he was not stupid enough to tell the truth. If you are talking about Uchiha clan's eldest daughter Uchiha Mikoto, then there is no need to look for her. I know where she is. Zhili didn't react at first, and after a moment of silence, he suddenly raised his head. You know. Tell me quickly, where is Miss Mikan? Li Chongsheng said calmly. Lie down and get some rest. I'll tell you when you're healed. Zhili hesitated for a while, but still lay down. After Kakuzu injured her and Fugaku, he disappeared again. It was not easy to find Kakuzu in a short time, not to mention that she was seriously injured. It would be better to just obey him, what if it was true? In the meeting room of the Star Ninja village, more than a dozen star ninjas were lying in a mess, groaning one after another. An old man leaned against the wall, seriously injured, and said angrily. Red Star, you traitor! Colluding with outsiders to harm your own people, has your conscience been eaten by a dog? A lavender-haired star ninja stepped forward and snorted coldly. You are an old and conservative person, and you still have the nerve to criticize me. It was you who really brought the Star Ninja village to destruction. The old man seemed to understand something and sighed. Is it because I forbade you to use the star stone for cultivation? Qi Xing sneered. In a time of great contention, the strong will become stronger, and the weak will perish. The Star Ninja village is weak to begin with. No matter what method is used, it can only survive by becoming stronger. But what about you? They actually banned the tribe members from practicing Star Stone just because of a side effect. Have you ever thought that a mere elite jonin from the Sand Village could destroy our Star Village? After saying that, Akahashi seemed to remember something, and hurried to the side, saying in panic, "Sir, I was careless when I spoke. Please forgive me." A stern man wearing a Sand Ninja forehead protector turned around and looked out the window. "I only care about the results." "Yes, don't worry, sir." Qi Xing breathed a sigh of relief and walked to the old man again. The old man said painfully, "But you shouldn't collude with outsiders and harm your own people, right?" Qi Xing said disdainfully. "They didn't die, so how can it be considered murder? Besides, what's wrong with colluding with outsiders? Becoming stronger is the way to go. It's a miracle that the Star Ninja village can still exist, for someone as weak as you who is unwilling to rely on the strong." At this time, the bald Star Ninja on the side spoke up. "Chixing, stop talking to him, it's important to get the Star Stone. If it really doesn't work, let me punish you severely." Qi Xing said. "Nighthawk, don't talk for now." Then he looked at the old man and said, "Third generation, I colluded with outsiders for the good of our Star Ninja village. If we offer the Star Stone, we can become a vassal of the Sand Village. With sand hidden as our shield, our safety is guaranteed. Our children can also go to Sunagakur to learn more advanced ninjutsu. What's wrong with that?" The third generation Xing Ying knew that what he said was wrong, but he didn't know how to refute it, so he had to close his eyes and remain silent. Chixing said coldly, "Since you are seeking death, you can't blame me." Just as he was about to torture Grandpa Xing Ying, "I'm back." A petite figure ran in. However, before she took 2 steps, she saw a room full of disabled people and was stunned. Chixing suddenly turned around and looked at the third generation Xing Ying, and said angrily, "You old thing, you still said that I colluded with outsiders, didn't you also send this little girl to collude with outsiders?" The third generation Xing Ying saw Li Chongsheng behind Xia Rixing and completely calmed down. Konoha's reinforcements came. Xia Rixing helped a Star Ninja lying on the ground and cried, "Second uncle, how are you?" The Star Ninja consoled him. "Nothing serious, just a few broken bones. Go and see how your second aunt is doing." Xia Rixing hurriedly ran to the next Star Ninja. At this time, the third generation Xing Ying bowed and said, "I am the third generation of Hoshi Kage of the Hashigami village. I have met the envoy of Konoha." Li Chongsheng shook his head and said, "I am not a Konoha ninja." The third generation of Xing Ying was stunned and looked at Xia Rixing. Xia Rixing also looked confused. The cold and stern Sand Ninja, who had been silent, was relieved after hearing this. If it was a Konoha ninja, it would be difficult for him to kill him, after all, he had just signed an alliance with Konoha. So, he looked at Chixing and Yang. The two understood and immediately shouted, "Where did you come from, you wild boy? Get out of here now! Otherwise..." Before he finished speaking, Li Chongsheng had already launched an offensive. God's power! The space around Nighthawk was distorted instantly, and Nighthawk's body was torn into pieces, without even a chance to scream. Li Chongsheng stood on his toes and came to Chixing at an incredible speed. He stretched out his hand and a chakra ball was instantly generated. Raise Nan! The Raise Nan hit Akahashi's chest. A big hole was punched in Akahashi's chest, and his body flew backwards, and it was obvious that he was dead. At this time, Li Chongsheng looked at the cold-blooded Sand Ninja. "Run!" The cold Sand Ninja did not hesitate and quickly jumped out of the window. Master, don't let him run away. Xia Rixing came to Li Chongsheng and said anxiously. Let him go. Li Chongsheng shook his head. It's not that he is kind, but he wants to catch a big fish. The sand village is not something we can afford to offend, so this is the best. The third generation Xing Ying came over and comforted Xia Rixing. Then he bowed deeply to Li Chongsheng and said. Thank you for your help, sir. Li Chongsheng waved his hand and said. No problem. Xiao Xing is my disciple, so it is only right for him to help. The third generation Xing Ying had just heard Xia Rixing calling Li Chongsheng his master, and he had already figured it out in his mind. Li Chongsheng could make an elite Jonin flee without a fight, so he must be a cage-level powerhouse. Xia Rixing had a cage-level powerhouse master, which meant that their Xingnan village had a cage-level supporter, didn't it? So at this moment, he said with great respect. It is a blessing for Xiao Xing to be favored by the master. 3 days later, Zhili got much better under the care of the Star Ninja village and was able to walk. Li Chongsheng gave Xia Rixing a book called Principles of Ninjutsu so that she could learn it well. As long as she is not a cockroach, theoretical knowledge is still very important. After Li Changshen's test, she is a ninja with 5 chakra attributes. In this world of blood inheritance, it is very rare to have 5 attributes without any blood inheritance. It is really a waste to practice the peacock magic. At this time, Li Chongsheng was chatting with the third generation Xing Ying in the meeting room. You said the sand village wants to steal your star stone. The third Hoshi Cage nodded helplessly. Alas, the side effects of star stone on humans are too great. The longer you practice, the faster you die. As a last resort, I can only ban it. Li Chongsheng asked curiously. What does star stone look like? Can you show it to me? This. The third generation Xing Ying hesitated. Li Chongsheng smiled awkwardly. He was just curious, not interested. But one must be on guard against others, and it was understandable that the third generation Xing Ying did this. He didn't say anything more. Haha, if it were someone else, of course not. But sir, that's another matter. This way please. The third generation Xing Ying laughed and stood up. He had also come to his senses. With Li Changshen's strength, he couldn't stop him if he really wanted to rob it. Why bother with all these twists and turns? Thank you. Li Chongsheng also stood up and followed behind. Not long after, the two entered a basement. The star stone was originally placed over there in the crater. Since I banned my tribe from practicing, I built this basement. Please, sir, the star stone is inside. The third generation Xing Ying opened the iron door of the basement. When Li Chongsheng came in, he saw a meteorite emitting fluorescence quietly placed in the room. It is indeed so. Li Chongsheng walked over, took a few glances, then turned and left. Sir, won't you take a closer look? The third generation Xing Ying said blankly. No. Li Chongsheng chuckled. He had already figured it out, so there was no need to look at it anymore. In fact, star stone is a kind of chakra ore in the universe. According to his estimation, the Otsutsuki clan should have dug out the chakra ore and thrown it into various planets, thus opening up the chakra cultivation system on each planet. When the time is right, they will take the sacred tree to various planets to recover chakra and strengthen themselves. This will prevent the radioactive substances in the chakra ore from harming themselves. As for how Li Chongsheng knew? Because he also has this thing in his mall. After the two returned to the meeting room, a star ninja came to report. Third generation, someone from the sand village is coming. The third generation Hoshi Cage knew that he would have to face it sooner or later, and nodded. I'll be there soon. Li Chongsheng stood up and said with a smile. Let's go together. He was not willing to help, but the system prompt sounded again. Name, Yakang. Power, Sand Village. Strength, early stage of film level. Qualification, S. Li Chongsheng recalled the plot and remembered it. Ye King is a shadow-level strongman with Scorch release Kekiai Genkai in Sand Village. He has the title of the most beautiful back in Sand Village. In the Third Ninja World War, he made great contributions to Sand Village. However, the fourth Kazekage Raza and the Sand Village high-level officials betrayed her in order to reach a reconciliation with the Mist Village. As a result, she was plotted against by the Mist Village ninja and died with her eyes open. Li Chongsheng originally planned to play a long game and completely defeat the Sand Village to eliminate future troubles. So he let the Sand Ninja leave. He believed that with his current chakra and strength, it would not be difficult to do this. But now he has changed his mind. What is more important than accepting an apprentice? And it is an S-level qualification. At the gate of the Star Ninja Village, a beautiful woman with orange and green hair stood outside the door. This woman is Ye King, a shadow-level strongman in the Sand Shadow Village. In addition to finding a place, she came here mainly to meet Li Chongsheng. Because she is a martial arts fanatic. There are not many cage-level masters in the village, and they are all high-level masters, so she can't challenge them openly. Now she finally meets one. Of course she doesn't want to miss it. At this time, Li Chongsheng and the third-generation Xing Ying came over. Ye King directly ignored the third-generation Xing Ying and looked at Li Chongsheng with shining eyes, as if he had found some treasure. Are you the shadow-level expert? Li Chongsheng said with a smile. If you are talking about the person who drove away the Sand Ninja a few days ago, it was indeed me. Ye King said angrily. You are so bold that you don't even take our Sand Village seriously. Li Chongsheng frowned and said. What do you want? Ye King smiled when he heard this. Fight me. You win, let it go. If you lose, you will die. Li Chongsheng also laughed. That's not worth it for me. No fight. This time it was Ye King's turn to frown. So what do you want? Li Chongsheng chuckled. I lost, you can do whatever you want. But you lost, and I want you to be my disciple. Although Ye King hesitated, she finally accepted the challenge. She was confident that she would not lose. And even if she lost, it would only mean that she was not as skilled as the other person. For a martial arts fanatic like her, it was not shameful to take someone who was stronger than herself as a teacher. In order not to affect the Star Ninja Village, the two came to a patch of grass outside the village and stood opposite each other. The third-generation Star Shadow and some Star Ninjas stood in the distance and watched. It started. Ye King said, and raised one hand. A fireball flashing orange-red light appeared in her hand. With a strong push, the fireball quickly attacked Li Chongsheng. Burning escape, steaming kill. Seeing that he was about to be hit by the fireball, Li Chongsheng still did not move. Be careful. The third-generation Xing Ying in the distance couldn't help but shout. Not even hiding. Are you looking down on me? Ye King frowned. However, before she could speak, she saw the fireball penetrate through Li Changshen's body. Immune to physical attacks. Is it because of those eyes? Ye King looked at the shuriken-like pattern in Li Changshen's eyes with a serious expression. She had fought with the Uchiha clan before, but they were basically 3 Magatama Sharingan, so she didn't think about it. She didn't think so, but someone thought so. Strange, is this a Sharingan? Zhili, who was in the crowd, looked at Li Changshen's eyes, thinking. She also had a Sharingan, and it was a 3 Magatama Sharingan. But Li Changshen's eyes were obviously different from hers. Could it be? Zhili's pupils suddenly dilated, staring at Li Changshen's eyes, his face full of shock. Mangeki Sharingan. Only Uchiha Madara had awakened these eyes. Thinking of this, Zhili felt that he was crazy to have such an idea. For decades, the tribesmen had tried countless ways, but none of them had awakened even a pair of Mangeki. How could Li Chongsheng, an outsider without any Uchiha bloodline, awaken the Mangeki? But how similar were his eyes to the records in the tribe? No matter what, I have to ask him for clarification. It's my turn. Li Chongsheng also raised his hand. A large amount of chakra gathered above his palm, moving in an irregular manner, forming a palm-sized chakra ball. It's not over yet. Li Chongsheng began to inject lightning chakra. The chakra ball suddenly expanded and reached the size of a house in the blink of an eye. Super large jade rays Nan. Li Chongsheng threw the chakra ball casually, and it was thrown out. Here it comes. Yekeng stretched out her hands, and 6 orange-yellow fireballs appeared again. Under her command, the fireballs quickly deformed and formed a wall of fire, surrounding it in the middle. Burning escape, firewall. However, Yekeng, who had just prepared for defense, discovered that the super-large jade spiral ball thrown by Li Chongsheng had disappeared. What's going on? Before Yekeng could think, the disappeared super-large jade rays Nan had reappeared. Moreover, it had passed through her firewall and appeared in front of her. I was careless. Yekeng was completely hopeless. She could imagine with her toes what the consequences would be if she was hit by a rays Nan that was comparable to the tailed beast ball. However, at this critical moment, a hand touched her back. The super-large rays Nan actually passed through her body and landed on the grass not far away. Boom! A huge energy explosion, a small mushroom cloud rose up, and all the surrounding flowers, plants, and trees were crushed into dust. The violent air waves and sound waves continued to spread outward, and countless towering ancient trees were uprooted. Leave quickly! The third generation Xing Ying yelled, but no sound could be heard. Although they were far away, many people were still knocked to the ground by the air wave. After a long time, they finally calmed down. Is this the strength of a shadow-level expert? Everyone looked at the ruined scene in front of them, swallowing their saliva from time to time, horrified. You lose. Li Chongsheng put down his hand. Yekeng looked at Li Chongsheng with a complicated expression and said, Your strength even surpasses the tailed beasts. It is not unfair for me to lose to you. I, Yekeng, always keep my word. He turned around, straightened his clothes, and knelt on the ground. Disciple Yekeng, meeting the master. Congratulations to the host for successfully recruiting a disciple. Congratulations to the host for reaching the late shadow level. The host gains the blood inheritance scorch escape, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the bloodline flame god body. The host gains 10 cards of chakra, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1000 chakras. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 700,000 Mal points. S-level qualifications are so terrifying. Li Chongsheng took a breath and immediately looked at his personal panel. Name, Li Changshen. Level, film level post-production. Chakra, 11,380 calories. Bloodline, Ultimate Sage Body, Mangeki Sharingan, Flame God Body. Physical skills, none. Ninjutsu, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique, Sage Mode, Chidori Style, Raise Nan Style. Illusion, none. Points, 940,000. What is the Flame God Body? Li Chongsheng looked at the system description. Flame God Body, controls the ultimate flame that can burn everything. Except for the controller, no one can extinguish it. Well. Good disciple, get up quickly, haha. Congratulations, sir, for accepting a talented disciple. In the meeting room, the third generation Xing Ying and Li Chongsheng sat down again. Yekeng stood behind Li Chongsheng. Haha, Xing Ying is polite. Li Chongsheng was also very happy. After taking in Yekeng, he reached the late stage of cage level. He believed that with his current combat power, he was not weaker than Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was at the peak of cage level. It's over, I should go back. If Sand Village sends someone again, you can tell them the truth. I believe they won't make things difficult for you. The third generation Xing Ying bowed again and said. The Star Ninja Village will never forget your kindness, sir. At this time, Yaking said. Mr. Hoshi Cage, if Tsunagakure sends someone again, please tell me a message. Just say that I went to learn from my master and will return naturally after I finish my studies. The third generation Xing Ying said quickly. Don't worry, Miss Yaking, I will definitely bring her here. At this time, Zhili came in and looked at Li Chongsheng with a complicated look. I have something to tell you. Li Chongsheng saw her serious look and immediately understood. It was probably related to the kaleidoscope he had just used. Yaking, go wait for me at the door. Yaking nodded and walked out. I'll go inform Xiao Xing. The third generation Xing Ying was also very smart and slipped out directly. Li Chongsheng looked at Zhili and said. What's the matter? Tell me. Zhili took a deep breath and said. The pupil technique you just used, was it the Manjiki Sharingan? Sure enough. Upon hearing this, Li Chongsheng deliberately said. Oh? What makes you think so? My last name is not Uchiha, so how can I be the bloodline of your family? Zhili asked in confusion. That's what I want to know too. According to family documents, after opening the kaleidoscope, the pupils have different shapes and abilities. But one thing remains unchanged, that is, the eyeball is always blood red, just like the ordinary Sharingan. Your eyes also fit this feature. Li Chongsheng did not deny it and nodded. Good. It is indeed a kaleidoscope. After saying that, Li Chongsheng closed his eyes, and suddenly opened them again, and a pair of kaleidoscope Sharingan appeared in his eye sockets. Seeing these eyes again, the shock on Zhili's face did not diminish at all, and he said anxiously. How do you have a kaleidoscope? My people have studied for decades but haven't found a way to open the eyes. How did you open them? Also, you obviously don't have Uchiha blood, how can you open your eyes? Looking at Zhili's excited expression, Li Chongsheng hurriedly said. I said, stop. I know you are in a hurry, but don't be in a hurry. Whatever you want to know, I can answer you. Even the kaleidoscope eye-opening method can tell you that it is not impossible. As long as you agree to one condition of mine. Seeing Li Chongsheng looking her up and down with a smile on his face, Zhili took a few deep breaths. She knew what Li Chongsheng wanted. Many men had looked at her like this. However, without exception, they were all beaten to a pulp by her. But the man in front of her couldn't be beaten. First, she couldn't beat him, and second, this was a deal, not forced. Bastard! 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 Men are all bad, they are all perverts. Zhili kept cursing in her heart. But when she thought of the old elder and the whole family, she finally decided to sacrifice herself. So, she said with difficulty. What conditions? I agree to it. Li Chongsheng smiled and said. Become my disciple. Become my disciple? Zhili was stunned, and her beautiful eyes blinked involuntarily. What kind of conditions are these? She thought Li Chongsheng was greedy for her body. It was a false alarm after all this time. If she could open the Mangekyo, let alone become my disciple, she could also become my godfather. This condition was too ridiculous. She even suspected that Li Chongsheng had some hidden conspiracy. But after thinking for a long time, she didn't think there was anything on her that Li Chongsheng was interested in. Apart from her body, the most precious thing on her was the Sharingan. But Li Chongsheng even had the Mangekyo, so would he be interested in her 3 Magatama Sharingan? So, she asked uncertainly. Become a disciple. Just become my disciple. Li Chongsheng chuckled. Good, just become my disciple. okay. Zhili no longer hesitated and immediately knelt in front of Li Chongsheng. Disciple Uchiha Zhili, I pay my respects to the master. Another S-level disciple. Li Chongsheng was overjoyed. Congratulations to the host for successfully recruiting a disciple. The host obtains the bloodline Sharingan, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the bloodline's Manjiki Sharingan. The host gains 5 cards of chakra, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 500 chakras. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 800,000 mal points. No improvement in strength. It seems that to reach the peak of the shadow level, the experience points required are not a little bit. However, I got another pair of kaleidoscopes. I wonder if this situation can be used to synthesize the eternal kaleidoscope. Li Chongsheng was thinking. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded again. Host, please note. 2 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan are found. Should the host extract the pupil power? Extract pupil power. What do you mean? Li Chongsheng asked in confusion. The host can use 1 pair of kaleidoscopes to draw the pupil power of another pair of kaleidoscopes. After extraction, the kaleidoscope whose pupil power is extracted will disappear, including its abilities. But the use time of the Manjiki Sharingan that gains pupil power will be greatly extended. Li Chongsheng understood. The Manjiki Sharingan has a use time. The more you use it, the faster it will go blind. For example, in the original work, Dayuzu used his Manjiki from the night of the genocide to the Brothers' War. But the same cannot be said for Nabashi. He obviously used it indiscriminately and went blind as soon as he opened his eyes. So what the system means is to sacrifice 1 pair of Manjiki and transfer its pupil power to the other pair, so that the use time of the other pair of Manjiki can be doubled. Extraction. Transfer the pupil power to the Kamiya kaleidoscope. Li Chongsheng did not hesitate. He was not an Uchiha, where could he find a brother to dazzle his eyes? It was not a loss to exchange a pair of kaleidoscopes for the use time of Kamui. Extraction completed. Congratulations to the host for getting double the usage time of the Divine Power Kaleidoscope. Li Chongsheng didn't feel anything and was about to speak. Suddenly, Kushina's strength reaches that of a Jonin, triggering 100-fold critical strike. Mikato's strength reaches that of a Jonin, triggering 100-fold critical strike. Congratulations to the host for reaching the peak of the shadow level. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 400,000 mal points. Hey! These 2 girls didn't slack off. Li Chongsheng was a little surprised. He thought that without his supervision, the 2 girls would definitely slack off while shopping, but he didn't expect them to be so well behaved. He must reward them well when he returns. With Chiri's apprenticeship and Nana and Mikato's 100-fold crit, he finally reached the peak of cage level. It's getting harder and harder to improve as time goes on. It's not easy. Li Chongsheng looked at his personal panel. Name, Li Changshen. Level, Peak Shadow. Chakra, 11,880 calories. Bloodline, Ultimate Sage Body, Manjiki Sharingan, Flame God Body. Physical skills, none. Ninjutsu, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique, Sage Mode, Chidori Style, Raise Nan Style. Illusion, none. Points, 2.14 million. A pair of Manjiki Sharingan requires 400,000 points, which is enough. Li Chongsheng looked at his points and felt very happy. He finally became rich. Master, are you leaving? At this time, Xia Rixing came in. Behind him were Yekeng and the 3rd generation Xin Ying. Li Chongsheng stood up and looked at Zhili and said, Since you have already accepted me as your master, I will demonstrate it to you in person after we return. Zhili suppressed her excitement and nodded. She knew that Li Chongsheng was talking about opening the kaleidoscope. Li Chongsheng looked at the third generation Xing Ying again and chuckled. Xing Ying, see you later. After saying that, he waved his hand. Li Chongsheng, Yakang, Xia Rixing, and Zhili disappeared at the same time. His divine power had already marked the coordinates, so naturally he didn't have to walk back like he did when he came. In the mansion of the Fire Nation capital, Kushina, Mikoto, and Tsunade were sitting at the stone table in the backyard. You two are pretty good. You can go back and take the Jonin exam. I believe it will scare the old man. Tsunade said with a smile. Kushina pouted and said. I'm not going back. Sister, don't always treat me like a child. I know everything. As the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, if I go back, I won't be able to come out again. Mikoto thought for a moment and said. Actually, I really want to go back. Since being kidnapped by Kakuzu, I have never been back and I don't know what happened to my grandfather. But I am also worried that my grandfather will not let me out again after I go back. Tsunade said in surprise. How? Are you reluctant to part with Li Chongsheng? What's so good about him? After hearing this, the two girls looked at each other and their faces turned red. After all, he is our master. Kushina defended. But her voice sounded guilty. Tsunade couldn't help but teased. Is this really the reason? Don't think I don't know. I saw you sneaking into his room at night. This guy looks so sanctimonious, I didn't expect him to have such a strange habit. After saying this, he showed a look of disgust. After Kushina's experience, she was obviously more open. Seeing that Tsunade already knew, she simply stopped hiding it. She leaned close to Tsunade's ear and whispered. Sister, you haven't tried it yet, right? You don't know, doing this kind of thing is actually quite comfortable. And the master is really good at this. If you don't believe me, I'll help you find an opportunity to try it with master. Tsunade blushed when she heard this. Bah! 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 What nonsense are you talking about? You have no shame. Kushina and Mikoto saw Tsunade was shy and smiled at each other. Tsunade couldn't help but think of what Li Chongsheng said to her. If she became his disciple, he could help her awaken the Senjua bloodline and would release. How can it be? Wood release is innate, I have never heard of it being awakened artificially. The old man stole my grandfather's cells and studied them for nearly 20 years, but he didn't find anything. That pervert probably thought I was an ignorant girl like Nana and wanted to seduce me. Tsunade shook her head and directly defined Li Chongsheng. At this time, the space was distorted. Li Chongsheng appeared in the backyard with 3 new disciples. Master, you're back. Kushina and Mikoto ran over with surprise. Li Chongsheng nodded and praised. You have not slacked off during this period, and I am very satisfied with you. The two girls felt as if they had eaten honey when they heard Li Changshen's praise. Kushina was bolder and said with a smile. Then will the master reward us well? There is nothing wrong with this statement, but the tears in her eyes are almost overflowing. Mikan on the side is not much better, looking at Li Chongsheng expectantly. Li Chongsheng pretended not to hear, and did not respond at all, turning his head and saying. All of you come here. Xia Rixing, Yakang, and Zhili came over after hearing this. Miss, are you still alive? Chiri saw Mikoto with an expression of disbelief. She had always thought that Kakuzu had captured Mikoto to do human experiments on the Sharingan. Unexpectedly, she met Sisters Zhili. Why are you here too? Mikan asked in surprise. Zhili was her personal bodyguard, and they had a very good relationship. The two girls cried with joy and hugged each other happily. When Zhili was about to speak, Li Chongsheng waved his hand and said. Without further ado, I will introduce them to you. After saying that, he pointed at Kushina and Mikoto and said. This is the master's eldest and second disciples. You can call them the eldest sister and the second sister. Then, pointing to the other three, he said. You all know Xiao Xing. She is the third disciple of the master. This is Yekang, a cage-level warrior from the Sand Village, and the fourth disciple of the master. The last one is called Uchiha's Hilly, the fifth disciple of the master. Since you are all my disciples, you must address me as senior sister and junior sister from now on. In addition, fellow disciples must not kill each other. This is the first iron rule set by the master. Have you understood? I understand. Several girls answered at the same time. But when Kushina and Mikoto heard that Yekang was a cage-level expert, they couldn't help but look at him a few more times. Even cage-level masters became his disciples. What is the strength of the master? The two girls were a little shocked. Even Tsunade, who was not far away, couldn't help but look over. Xiaorixing and Hilly were not so surprised. After all, they had seen the scene of Li Chongsheng retaking Yekang before. Just 2 moves. One defensive move, which made Yekang's attack invalid. One attack, that super large raise Nan, and that kind of destructive power, they are still frightened to this day. Not to mention defeating Yekang, even if it was said to defeat Sarutobi Hiruzen or Salamander Hanzo, they would believe it. Li Chongsheng asked the girls to talk about the seniority of their masters in the order of entry, and then said, Nana, you and Mikoto should take a few junior sisters to choose a room and get familiar with the environment. Then bring them back. Yes, master. The 2 girls followed their instructions and left the backyard with the other 3 girls. Li Chongsheng then walked over to Tsunade and sat down, asking, How have you considered the matter of becoming a disciple? Tisk, Tsunade said with disdain. Seeing Li Chongsheng bring back 3 more disciples, she was more certain of her guess. This guy just had a special habit of taking in disciples first and then coaxing them into bed. Who was she, Tsunade? How could she fall for such a trick? Who would she look down on? If you want to cheat on someone, just cheat on Nana and the others. Do you really think I'm a vegetarian? You don't even go and ask around. I earned my name on the battlefield with my fists and kicks. She didn't deny that Li Chongsheng had the real talent and could really guide Kushina and Mikoto in their training. Moreover, Kushina and the others were also willing. Otherwise, how could she just watch and not do anything? But if she was deceived, it would be beyond her bottom line. Li Chongsheng was not angry. This kind of thing, just by talking, not to mention Tsunade, he himself would not believe it. So, he asked. Have you heard of the Mangeki? Tsunade frowned and said. Of course, Uchiha Madara's eyes. I heard that it was with these eyes that Uchiha Madara became the only person my grandfather could consider his opponent. Li Chongsheng said nothing, closed his eyes, and then suddenly opened them. 2 shuriken-shaped pupils appeared in his blood-red eye sockets and slowly turned. Mangeki Sharingan. Tsunade's face was full of disbelief, her eyes widened. Impossible. You are not from the Uchiha clan. Even among the Uchiha clan, no one has opened the Mangeki since Uchiha Madara. How can you have a kaleidoscope? No, it's an illusion. Thinking of this, Tsunade formed seals with both hands and immediately mobilized the chakra of her whole body. Yin seal, release. After being hit by the illusion, you can inject a large amount of chakra into your body to break the chaotic flow of chakra, thus breaking the illusion. Tsunade released the yin seal at this time, and was preparing to inject a large amount of chakra sealed in the yin seal into her body. However, when she opened her eyes again, the pair of shuriken-shaped pupils were still slowly turning in Li Changshen's eye sockets. Did you really open the Mangekyo? Tsunade was deeply shocked after realizing the reality. How about it? Now you should believe me, right? Tsunade took a deep breath and sealed her chakra again. My second grandfather once said that when the Uchiha clan members experience strong negative emotions, a special chakra will be generated in their brains. Only in this way can the ordinary Sharingan be evolved into a Mangeki. You don't have Uchiha blood, how did you open the Mangeki? Li Chongsheng still admired Senju Tobirama very much. The Uchiha clan had not figured out the secret for thousands of years, but he, an outsider, figured it out. It is estimated that when he was fighting against the Uchiha clan, he dug out their eyes a lot. Of course, Li Chongsheng would not tell the truth to Tsunade's question. After thinking about it, he could only say, "In fact, anything is possible, as long as you are willing to study. If you don't believe I can make you awaken wood release, then later, I can let Mikoto awaken her Mangekyo in front of you." How? Tsunade remained silent. She understood that since Li Chongsheng dared to say so, he must be absolutely sure. After a few minutes, she still couldn't make up her mind. After all, she was also a mid-level cage-level strongman and one of the world-famous Konoha Sunin. Due to her gender, she might be the most famous of the three. Now it was difficult for her to put down all her airs and worship an unknown person as her teacher. "I'll take a look first and then decide." "Okay." Tsunade herself felt a little embarrassed. Unexpectedly, Li Chongsheng nodded without any hesitation. He knew that any strong person had his own dignity. It was impossible to make him bow his head before you completely crushed it. "So, let's just talk about this. The rest is to find an opportunity to completely crush her dignity and make her surrender." At this time, Kushina and Mikoto came over with the other three women. "Master," Li Chongsheng said, Teachers always teach students in accordance with their aptitude. They will teach you different things according to your different personalities and attributes. Xiao Xing, how are you reading the book The True Explanation of Ninjutsu that your master gave you?" Xia Rixing said. "Master, I am stupid and don't understand many things. But I have memorized all the contents of the book The True Explanation of Ninjutsu." Li Chongsheng nodded and said, "Well, that's best. Only what you realize is your own. If I were to explain it to you, you would only know the facts but not the reasons, which would harm you." In fact, the main reason was that he didn't understand it either. However, this did not prevent him from talking without any pain in his waist. Li Chongsheng continued. "You are a very rare 5-attribute ninja. If you practice properly, your future achievements will be limitless. Therefore, you need to combine the knowledge of Ninjutsu Shinkai with practice. Combining theory with practice will allow you to go further." After saying that, Li Chongsheng flicked his sleeves and a large number of scrolls fell to the ground. These are E and D level ninjutsu. However, don't underestimate these ninjutsu. Only by thoroughly understanding these low-level ninjutsu can you practice advanced ninjutsu more easily in the future. Xia Rixing picked up all the scrolls and said respectfully, "Yes, Master." If Li Chongsheng positioned Kushina as Naruto mode and Mikoto as second pillar mode, then Xia Rixing is Sarutobi Hiruzen mode. They are both 5-attribute ninjas and do not have any bloodline. Sarutobi Hiruzen can become the top ninja in the open with various combination ninjutsu, which shows that Sarutobi Hiruzen mode is still very strong. It's just a little worse than the top few. However, with Li Chongsheng, a walking plug-in, Xia Rixing will only be stronger than Sarutobi Hiruzen in the future. Then, Li Chongsheng looked at Yekeng again. "Your Scorch Escape is very powerful. Anyone who touches your flame will have their body water evaporated. But your biggest weakness is your poor melee ability. Any cage-level strongman can kill you with a kunao as long as he can get close to you. So, what I prepared for you is the 8 Gates Ninja technique." He positioned Yekeng as the Kai Huang mode. "When you think I am only a long-range attack ninja, and you want to fight in close combat. Sorry, I am better in close combat. The only disadvantage is that the 8 Gates Ninja technique requires very high basic physical skills, and it is difficult for ordinary people to learn it. Whether it will succeed or not depends on Yekeng's own luck." If it really doesn't work, just change it later. Yakang's eyes lit up. It's not that she doesn't know her shortcomings, but they, the sand ninja, are not very good at close combat. After taking the scroll, she couldn't wait to open it and check it out. Li Chongsheng continued. The 8 Gates of Dunjia is an ultimate physical skill that unlocks the channels that bind chakra in the body to gain powerful strength. The 8 gates are Kai, Xiu, Sheng, Shang, Du, Jing, Jing, Si. If the 8th gate is opened, even the legendary Six-Path Sage can compete with him. But the price is death. Therefore, I advise you to open only the 7th door at most. In fact, as long as you obtain the power of Yang, you can open the 8th door. But there is no need to tell the truth. It is a good thing to make Yakang a little worried. After all, the power of Yang is ridiculously expensive in the mall. Li Chongsheng has no intention of buying it for the time being. Master. Uchiha's Hilly saw Li Chongsheng looking at him and knew it was his turn. Li Chongsheng said. Master asks you, have you ever heard of the lightning chakra mode? Hilly's eyes lit up. She was a ninja with both lightning and fire attributes. Heard about it? It is said to be the secret of the Night Moon clan of Union Village. Li Chongsheng chuckled and said. This is not the secret technique of the Night Moon clan, but another lightning chakra mode created by Hatake Sakumo. Hatake Sakumo, Kakashi's father, is known as Konoha White Fang. In the just concluded Second Ninja World War, several major countries unanimously decided that if they met Hatake Sakumo on the battlefield, as long as they could escape, their mission would be considered a success. Many people thought that the reason why he was so powerful was because of his swordsmanship. In fact, his swordsmanship was just so-so. The reason why he could fight against a cage-level peak powerhouse like Sarutobi Hiruzen with the strength of a late cage and not be defeated was entirely because of his self-created Lightning Chakra mode. Although the Lightning Chakra mode of the Night Moon clan is very fast, it is more inclined to strength. That's why the third Raikage could fight the 8 Tails alone. But Hatake Sakumo is different. His Lightning Chakra mode is more inclined to speed. In one word, fast. Incredibly fast. If the body can support it, it can even be faster than Flying Thunder God. That's why he can be unstoppable on the battlefield. Countries will issue such outrageous orders. And Chiri happens to be a member of the Uchiha clan with the Sharingan, so no matter how fast she is, it will not affect her strength. Like Shu Mao, she has the thunder attribute and is also good at swordsmanship. Therefore, Li Chongsheng positioned her as the White Fang mode. Thank you, Master. Chiri was overjoyed. Sakumo is now in Konoha, and is still alive and well. Chiri had the honor of seeing Sakumo's demeanor once on the battlefield before, and he still can't forget it. After finishing, Li Chongsheng took out another 50 chakra pills. Yakang and Chiri were still puzzled, and the other 3 who had taken them were almost drooling. Even Tsunade, who was not far away, swallowed her saliva. Kushina had given her one before, and she understood why Li Chongsheng advised her not to refine chakra. Compared with taking drugs, the efficiency of refining chakra is really too low. Li Chongsheng distributed the chakra pills, 10 per person. Tsunade opened her mouth and wanted to speak, but finally held back. Li Chongsheng also pretended not to see it. They were not his apprentices, so he would not be a pushover. Xiao Xing spent the least, only 10,000 points. Yakang spent the most money, and it cost me 200,000. Zhili also spent 180,000. Adding the 500,000 yuan for the Chakraden, the total cost was 890,000 yuan. However, we have to continue spending. Li Chongsheng thought of this and said. All right, the 3 of you go practice on your own. Nana, Mikoto, go with me to the street to buy some things. Deep in the starry sky. On a certain planet. An old man with white hair and beard opened his eyes with a puzzled look on his face. With a wave of his hand, a middle-aged man was teleported in front of him. "Old ancestor, you are awake," the middle-aged man said in surprise. The old man said impatiently, "How many years have passed since Shiju ascended to the upper realm?" The middle-aged man calculated and said, "Old ancestor, it has been more than 800 years." The old man asked again, "During this period, has anyone from our Otsutsuki clan ascended to heaven?" The middle-aged man replied, "This is not. But everyone in the clan believes that if there is a second one, it must be you, the ancestor." The old man nodded and agreed with this statement. Then he asked in confusion, "I feel like someone is stealing my chakra lately. Although the theft was not much, we could not catch him. Go check and see if any bastard in the clan has awakened the ability to steal chakra. If you find him, bring him here. I will eat him up." The middle-aged man was sweating profusely. Although the Otsutsuki clan was not very united, the one who dared to set his sights on the ancestor must be a ruthless person. "Yes, ancestor." At the same time, not far away, in the clan library of the Otsutsuki clan, a middle-aged man with grey hair and horns looked worried. He was the elder in charge of guarding the clan library. Recently, he found something strange. From time to time, some of the chakraden in the clan library would disappear automatically. Just now, 50 disappeared right under his nose. You know, chakraden is very valuable. The Otsutsuki clan must first capture people to mine in the universe, and then put the ore into various planets to attract people there to establish a chakra cultivation system. Then they will take the sacred tree to recover the chakra, and finally refine it into the chakraden with the highest absorption efficiency. What to do? Although not many items were stolen, they will definitely be discovered when the guards are changed at the end of the year. Should I deduct it from my salary? The guarding elder was a little undecided. If he didn't report it, he would have to use his salary to make up for it. Reporting it would at least be a dereliction of duty. After hesitating for a long time, a firm look flashed in the eyes of the guarding elder. Report, even dereliction of duty. No matter which little bastard did it, why should I take the blame while you're taking drugs? Wait until the family law enforcement team finds out, and then I'll show you how I'll deal with you. He didn't think about anything else, and also believed that it was someone in the family who did it. The streets were bustling with activity. Women's love of shopping was fully demonstrated in Kushina and Mikoto. "Master, look, there are candied haws." Kushina bit a small candy man in her mouth, not at all ladylike. Mikoto was not much better. She bought a lot of clothes and cosmetics, a lot of big and small bags. Li Chongsheng followed behind calmly. It was not easy to come out, he didn't want to spoil the fun. Just think of it as a reward for the two girls to be promoted to Jonin. "Master, we've been shopping all day, but I haven't seen you buy anything. What do you want to buy?" Kushina came over and asked. Mikoto, who was not far away, saw this and quickly pulled Kushina aside and whispered, "Don't ask. Master just wanted to go shopping with us, but he was embarrassed to say it out loud. So that's it." Kushina's eyes lit up. After the two girls murmured for a while, they regained their energy and continued to go shopping. Li Chongsheng moved his ears and heard all the whispers of the two girls. He smiled lightly and did not explain. It was not until the sun set that Li Chongsheng bought some medicinal materials at the medicine shop and some yellow paper for candles at the grocery store. Then he took the two girls home. "Master, why did you buy these things?" Mikoto asked curiously. "You will know it soon." Li Chongsheng smiled lightly. Tsunade, who was standing next to Kushina, was focused. Li Chongsheng once said that he would help Mikoto open the mangekyo in front of her. These things are probably used to open the mangekyo. "Mikan, go and boil these herbs with water, then pour them into the medicine barrel. Nana, go calls Hilly over here." Li Chongsheng said as he scribbled on the yellow paper. Yes, master. The two girls went their separate ways. After a while, Zhili came running over excitedly. Master, you are going to... Li Chongsheng nodded. He promised Zhili that he would tell her how to open the Mangeki. But he couldn't say it was a gift from the system, right? So he had to do this, to make it mysterious and fool people. Zhili stared at Li Changshen's every move with excitement. She even opened her Sharingan and copied every move of Li Chongsheng. After the preparations were completed, Li Chongsheng came to Mikato's room and pasted ghost paintings all over the room. Then he moved in the medicine barrel filled with potions. Tsunade, Kushina, and Zhili followed curiously. Li Chongsheng said, Mikato, today I will help you open your Mangeki Sharingan. Mangekyo. Mikato's eyes showed an unbelievable look. Happiness came too suddenly, and she didn't know what to say. Don't stand there stupidly. Take off your clothes and go in. Li Chongsheng urged. Still need to take off clothes. Mikato blushed. Fortunately, the temptation of the kaleidoscope overcame her shyness. Besides, the only man in the room had had physical contact with her, and the rest were all women, so it was no big deal. One by one, the clothes fell to the ground. Mikato suppressed her shame and quickly got into the medicine barrel. With her strength as a jonin, the temperature of the potion was still tolerable. It started. Li Chongsheng held a peachwood sword and imitated the shaman on TV in his previous life. At the same time, he said something that others couldn't understand. What is this for? The three women watching the fun looked at each other in bewilderment. He is clearly a charlatan. Tsunade even began to doubt whether she had been overthinking from the beginning. Li Chongsheng ignored her and continued to perform the ritual. He pointed the peachwood sword in his hand and a piece of talisman paper on the wall suddenly caught fire. The flames burned the talisman paper and then went out automatically without damaging the wall at all. Very impressive. Kushina and Chiri were impressed. Tsunade narrowed her eyes, as she sensed a hint of danger from the flames. Li Changzhen smiled to himself, as this was the magic of his flame god body. Seeing that the time was almost right, Li Chongsheng suddenly raised his voice and shouted. Taishang Lejun, please obey the order immediately. Mangeki Sharingan, open. After saying that, he pointed the peachwood sword at Mikato, hitting her right between the eyebrows. At the same time, he asked the system to send the Mangeki Sharingan that he had bought long ago to Mikato. System, give me a kaleidoscope. The three girls who were watching the fun looked at Mikato. They saw the three Megatama in Mikato's Sharingan slowly turning. At the same time, the three Megatama began to grow larger and longer. Soon, a triangular windmill pattern was formed. Mega kaleidoscope. The three girls were dumbfounded. Is it so unreliable to open the kaleidoscope? Kushina was envious and glanced at Li Chongsheng. Humph, I knew you were partial to Mikato. If you don't give me a cool trick tonight, don't even think about getting out of bed. Zhili looked as if she had seen a ghost. She really couldn't understand. Is it true that the condition for opening the kaleidoscope is to pretend to be a charlatan? No wonder the tribesmen have not figured it out after so many years of research. Tsunade, on the other hand, was stunned and the corners of her mouth began to tremble slightly. Really, it's really a kaleidoscope. So, this guy is not bragging, he can really help me awaken wood release. Tsunade's mind was in a mess. A year ago, the scene where Sarutobi Hiruzen forced the remaining Senju clan members to give up their surnames and integrate into Konoha kept flashing in her mind. Muddling through is a helpless solution. Even if she wanted to kill her master, she couldn't beat Sarutobi Hiruzen. Now, she saw hope for rebuilding the Senju clan. Ah! Mikato looked in the mirror at the colored contact lenses she had just received, and she couldn't help but feel happy. Nana, look, I'm turning on the Mangekyo. Mikato grabbed Kushina's hand and shouted excitedly. Call me big sister. Kushina pouted and rolled her eyes. Unfortunately, Mikoto had already run to the other two girls and didn't hear it at all. Li Chongsheng also laughed. This is the eyes of Big Yuzu, which he specially selected for Mikoto. Although Big Yuzu is not a good person, his eyes are really good. The left eye is the strongest illusion Tsukuyomi, and the right eye is the strongest physical attack Amaterasu. When combined, they can summon Susanoo holding the Ten-Fist Sword. And in the future, it can also fuse with the eyes of the two pillars, which is very plastic. Mikoto obtains the Mangekyo Sharingan, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the reincarnation eye. Samsara eye? Li Chongsheng was ecstatic. Can it be a critical hit like this? Immediately, Li Chongsheng suppressed his excitement. Now is not the time to show off the Samsara eye. At this moment, it belongs to Mikoto. The other two girls soon got the news and joined the celebration. At the same time, the eyes looking at Li Chongsheng were more expectant. Master has given me permission to not practice today. Li Chongsheng did not want to be unkind, so he immediately said, "Thank you, Master." The five girls said in unison. Then they began to discuss buying food and various decorations. Li Chongsheng ignored them and turned to look at Tsunade, who was still in a daze in the room. He immediately walked in and asked, "You saw it too, what do you think?" Tsunade came back to her senses. She looked at Li Chongsheng with a complicated expression and said softly, "Do you know how our Qian Shao group disbanded? My second grandfather issued a clan decree that all members of the Qian Shao clan were not allowed to use the Qian Shao surname when outside. His original intention was to hope that his clan members would not look down on other people in Konoha. However, ever since Sarutobi-sensei came to power, he has maliciously misinterpreted this clan order. He said that second grandfather actually hoped that the tribe members would be integrated with Konoha and take root in Konoha. Even the slogan Konoha is Senju was proposed, calling on the tribe members to follow the order of the second grandfather, give up the surname, and integrate into Konoha. Quite a few clan members actually believed his lies and foolishly left the clan. Hearing this, Li Changshen's heart moved. He had heard of this rumor in his previous life. At that time, he was very surprised that a calm and cold-blooded person like Tobirama would do such a stupid thing. Isn't this a disguised disbanding of the Senju clan? What about the various ninjutsu, secret techniques, and money of the Senju clan? Hand them all over to Konoha? In this world where the clan is more important than anything else, it is not reasonable at all. It was not until now that he understood that everything was done by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Konoha was originally established by the Senju clan, and the first and second generations were both clan leaders of your Senju clan. I said that Konoha is just a bigger Senju, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with your clan members integrating into Konoha? If there is something wrong, go and scold your two clan leaders. Good trick. It easily weakened most of the Senju clan's strength. It seems that he was able to occupy the position of Hokage for 20 years, not only relying on force, but also relying on first-class means. Li Chongsheng suddenly realized. Tsunade took a deep breath and continued. Since the outbreak of World War II, he took advantage of the opportunity when our Senju clan went to the battlefield to force Grandma Mito to seal the 9 tails into Nana's body. Grandma Mito died of hatred because of this. 4 years ago, my brother Shenshu was also bewitched by him on the battlefield, fell into a trap by mistake, and was killed by the detonation talisman. A year ago, my father also died suddenly. When I got the news from the battlefield and rushed back, I happened to see him disbanding the Senju clan. But the matter is done, and I can do nothing to change it. Li Chongsheng frowned and asked. How about you? Why didn't he attack you? I don't believe that such a person would care about the relationship between master and disciple. Tsunade sneered. I'm just his mascot. to show his justice internally and to show Konoha's unity externally. At this point, Tsunade suddenly unbuttoned her clothes. One by one, the clothes began to fall to the ground. After a moment, the naked Tsunade suppressed her shyness and said, "I know you have a strange habit of carrying your apprentice to bed. If you can help me awaken Wood Release and rebuild the Senju clan, I can be like Nana and the others." A well character suddenly appeared on Li Changshen's forehead. "Who spread this rumor about me?" "I'm not, I didn't, don't talk nonsense. I am a serious person," Li Changsheng explained quickly. But his eyes did not listen to his brain and he glared at him fiercely. After finally regaining his master's appearance, he continued. "As long as you are willing to become my disciple, I can not only help you awaken Wood Release, but also help you reproduce the style of your grandfather. As for the rest, that's your business." After getting the promise, Tsunade no longer hesitated and knelt on the ground immediately. "Disciple Tsunade, I meet the master." "Good. From today on, you will be the 6th disciple of the master. However, you should put on your clothes first, and be careful not to be seen by others." Li Changsheng nodded with satisfaction. Congratulations to the host for successfully recruiting a disciple. The host gains 15 cards of chakra, triggering 100 times critical strike. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1500 chakras. Congratulations to the host for reaching the initial stage of Super Shadow. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,000,000 mall points. Early in the morning, Li Changsheng sat on the bed. Kushina and Mikoto snuggled up to each other. Last night, they touched each other at the same time and bumped into each other. In order to prevent them from getting jealous, Li Changsheng had no choice but to keep them both. "Thank you, master. Then I will go back to practice first." Kushina quickly got up, put on her clothes and ran out. She had been pestering Li Changsheng last night, and Li Changsheng had no choice but to tell her how to practice the nine-tailed mode. "Nana is still a child. You should be gentler in the future and stop being so reckless," Misaki said softly, resting her head on Li Changshen's chest. Li Changsheng stroked Misaki's soft long hair and said teasingly, "Then, will you be the main force?" "Pa." Mikoto spat lightly, then hesitated and said, "Well, I want to go home and lie down." Li Changsheng was stunned for a moment before he said, "It's good to go back and report to your family that you are safe. I didn't think about it at the beginning." After Mikoto opened the Manjiki, her strength reached the level of an elite jonin. Even if she met a cage-level early-stage strongman, she could still compete with him. So Li Changsheng was still relieved about her safety. Mikoto raised her head, looked at Li Changsheng and said, "My grandfather arranged a marriage for me a few years ago, and I want to go back and cancel it." Li Changsheng was surprised. "Break off an engagement? You mean Fugaku?" Mikoto nodded. "I don't actually like him. It's just that in a big family like ours, we can't decide our own marriages." Li Changsheng agreed. "It's better to quit. Be my apprentice from now on." Mikan blushed and patted Li Changshen's chest with her little hand. "Where can I find a master like you?" Horizontal state. Li Changsheng saw this, how could he bear it, and pounced on him again. Ah! When Li Changsheng woke up again, Mikan had already left, leaving only a lingering fragrance on the pillow. "Finally I have time to study the Samsara Eye." Li Changsheng became excited. The Samsara Eye allows the owner to master the 5 types of chakra changes and yin-yang escape techniques at the same time. At the same time, it can also perform the 6 paths technique. They are the heaven path, the human path, the animal path, the devil path, the Shura path and the hell path. Moreover, as long as the Samsara Eye is awakened by oneself, it can also have exclusive pupil techniques. For example, after Uchiha Madara awakened the Samsara Eye, he could perform his own exclusive pupil technique. the Wheelgrave prison. However, Nagato, who had Madara's eyes transplanted, could not use it. Hey? Time stopped. Do I also have my own special eye technique? The system is awesome. After studying it for a while, Li Chongsheng was pleasantly surprised. Even a samsara eye like his, which was given to him by the system, could actually have a special pupil technique. And it was an extremely powerful time stop. Although it could only stop for 3 seconds, it was enough to decide life and death in a battle. After studying the samsara eye, Li Chongsheng started thinking about his apprentice. Tsunade's wood release is not urgent, let her queue up first. Among the 6 disciples, Xia Rixing is the most troublesome. Xia Rixing is a 5 attribute ninja. In the future, any S-level scroll will cost tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of points. No matter how many points Li Chongsheng has, he can't afford such consumption. I heard that in the underground exchange, as long as you have money, you can buy anything. How about trying the underground exchange? Li Chongsheng thought about it and thought that this method was the most reliable. However, the money he had was enough to support his life, but it was far from enough to go to a place like the underground exchange. So, the most important thing now is to make money. In the gap between the yin and yang worlds, an old man sat cross-legged and floated in the void. Suddenly, the old man opened his eyes. His eyes were also the eyes of samsara. He was Otsutsuki Hago Romo, who was revered by the world as the Six Paths Sage. Back then, he and his younger brother Hamura sealed their mother Kagaya and founded the ninja clan. They pushed the world from the samurai age to the ninja age. But as time went on, he discovered that what his mother did was not just ambition to control the world. It was more like a kind of dying struggle. Through limited clues, he finally found a clue. But after only learning a little about the Otsutsuki clan, he was scared and almost fainted. So he pretended to be dead and hid in this gap between time and space in the form of a soul. And control the souls of his 2 sons to reincarnate continuously. I hope that in this way, a strong man who can fight against the Otsutsuki clan will be born. Another pair of reincarnation eyes. It's not right. 5 years ago, Indra's reincarnation awakened his samsara eye. Logically speaking, those who have impure blood cannot awaken the samsara eye. What's going on? Otsutsuki Hago Romo frowned. He couldn't understand this world anymore. But he was in a soul state now, and only in this gap between time and space could he survive for a long time. If he went to the outside world, his soul would disappear after a long time. After hesitating for a long time, he gave up the urge to go out. Forget it, less trouble is worse than more trouble. Before the Otsutsuki arrives, it's better to stay calm. If they discover our whereabouts, we will be doomed. Thinking of this, Otsutsuki Hago Romo closed his eyes again. In the cracks of time and space, silence returned. The capital of the Land of Fire. On the top floor of the Crescent Casino, Goro Mori, with a mustache, sat at his desk, flipping through the information he had collected while enjoying the service of his maid. Humph, this Edogawa is really going backwards as he gets older. The customer won the money and could have won it back, but he refused to pay and beat the customer up. I despise this kind of people the most. They have no technical skills at all. As a gambling house owner, Maori Goro is quite disdainful of Edogawa. How can those small gambling houses compare with you? Not every gambling house owner has your strength. The maid behind him smiled and flattered. Well said, I like to hear this. Your little mouth is still the sweetest. Morigoro was in a good mood. Just as he was about to do something, a middle-aged steward rushed in. Boss, something terrible has happened. Morigoro glared at the manager and said unhappily. How disgraceful it is to shout and yell. The steward wiped the sweat from his forehead and said in a trembling voice. Boss, here comes the expert. Oh. Maori Goro became interested and chuckled. How high is it? The steward took a deep breath and said. This person only took out one tael, and earned 30 million taels in just half an hour. Poof! Maori Goro sprayed out all the tea in his mouth. How much? After receiving the affirmative answer from the steward, he gritted his teeth and said. How does he earn it? Please explain in detail. The steward then explained. This person was about 20 years old. He walked around and then sat down at the betting table. Then he took out 1 or 2 coins to bet on the leopard. After winning, he put all his money on the leopard. That's all. Wait a minute. Maori Goro interrupted the steward and asked. You mean, he bet on the leopard every time, and he won every time? The steward nodded. He is a master. Maori Goro finally became serious and said. Go, call out Hattori and let him take action. I want this kid to go out lying down. The steward wiped his sweat and said hesitantly. Boss, Master Hattori has already taken action. Upon hearing this, Maori Goro cursed. So what else are you reporting? Are you trying to scare me? In his opinion, as long as Hattori took action, no one could take a penny from his gambling house. The manager hesitated and said. Boss, Hattori-sama is defeated. Now our gambling house already owes them 100 million taels. Maori Goro's legs went limp and he fell off his chair. What? This useless thing, where are the others? The cash flow of the entire gambling house is only 300 million, and in just a short time, he lost 1/3 of it. He must teach Hattori a lesson. The manager lowered his head, hoping not to involve himself as much as possible. Hattori-sama is foaming at the mouth and has been sent to the hospital. Maori Goro took a deep breath and stood up. Let's go meet that guy. I haven't fought for many years, so I'm itching to fight. At this moment, his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Many people knew that Hattori was the master of the shop. But few people knew that he could control Hattori because he was Hattori's master. You are so slow to get the money, are you trying to default on your debt? Li Chongsheng said impatiently as he sat at the gambling table. In order to raise enough money to buy ninjutsu for Xiaorixing, he thought about it last night and still felt that this method was the fastest way to make money. Moreover, with his strength, he was not afraid of others defaulting on their debts. Our shop has been in business for more than 20 years and has always been honest and trustworthy. The guest is worrying too much. Maori Goro walked down. Who are you? Li Chongsheng looked over. Maori Goro chuckled and said. I am the boss of this gambling house. After saying that, he changed the subject and said. However, you won 100 million taels from me, and you just left like that. Aren't you too disrespectful to me? Li Chongsheng frowned and said. So what do you want? Maori Goro walked to the opposite side of Li Chongsheng, picked up the sieve and said. Another gamble. If you win, take all the money with interest, I will never stop you. Li Chongsheng didn't care. He stopped because he was afraid that the gambling house would lose too much money. Do you have so much cash in your gambling house? Maori Goro said confidently. Since I dare to open this gambling house, I naturally have the strength to do so. You can rest assured about this. Li Chongsheng nodded. It's a deal. Maori Goro smiled grimly and began to shake the sieve. After a while, he suddenly slammed it on the table. Place your bet. Li Chongsheng didn't even think about it and bet 100 million taels directly on the leopard. After all, the leopard has a 20-fold reward and makes money the fastest. As long as the bet is successful, the gambling house's debt will become a sky-high price of 2 billion taels. Open. Maori Goro sneered in his heart. He shook out 3 ones, and he couldn't even hear this, and he dared to bet on the leopard? He had prepared several backup plans, but it seemed that they would not be used. However, just as his hand was about to touch the sieve. Time stops. The samsara eye in Li Changshen's eyes flashed. This is the special ability of his samsara eye, which can be used against an individual or a range. He is now using the gambling house as the range to launch this technique. With his chakra, this range is not worth mentioning at all. Then, he stood up, opened the sieve, adjusted the dice to 3 sixes, and sat down again. 3 seconds passed in a flash. Maori Goro opened the sieve, looked at Li Chongsheng and sneered. You lose. Li Chongsheng chuckled. Could you please take a look before you speak? You lose. Impossible. Maori Goro looked at the leopard in front of him, his face full of horror. He had shaken out 3 ones, how could it become 3 sixes? With his gambling skills, it was impossible for such a low-level mistake to occur. You are cheating. Maori Goro looked at Li Chongsheng angrily. After one bet, his debt increased from 100 million to 2 billion. He could not bear this result at all. Even if he sold the gambling house, he could not raise so much money. Do you want to default on your debt? Li Chongsheng smiled. Maori Goro was choked when he heard this. He always looked down on those who defaulted on their debts, but the slap in the face came too quickly. He was just mocking Edogawa, but he didn't expect it would be his turn so soon. But if he didn't default on his debt, his fate would be extremely miserable. When he thought of the financiers behind the gambling house, Maori Goro's eyes flashed with a fierce look. Come here. A dozen thugs with samurai swords on their waists came out, with fierce looks on their faces. After seeing the people coming, Maori Goro finally got the confidence and sneered. Take him to the 2nd floor and torture him severely. We must find out how he cheated and give justice to our gambling house. Li Chongsheng was helpless. He wanted to make a small profit and then leave, but these people wanted to continue gambling. Is it my fault? Yes. A dozen warriors drew their swords and rushed over with grim smiles on their faces. Shinra Tenzin. With Li Chongsheng as the center, a huge repulsive force burst out, pushing all the matter around him out. The warriors who gathered around him couldn't bear it and all flew backwards. He fell to the ground with a thud, groaning. Since you don't want to give it to me, I'll take it myself. Li Chongsheng looked at Maori Goro. Ninja. Don't think that ninjas are great. I warn you, Master Kudo is behind our Crescent Casino. Goro Mori said in a timid tone. He had actually been panicking for a long time. If Li Chongsheng killed him, Master Kudo might be able to help him get revenge. But what's the point of revenge if the person is dead? The sky attracts everything. Li Chongsheng raised his palm, and a huge gravitational force instantly enveloped Maori Goro. He couldn't even move a finger, and could only watch his body being sucked over. No, you can't kill me. I am Master Kudo's servant. Master Kudo will not let you go. Kudo-sama, Before he could finish his words, Li Changshen's big hand had already pinched his neck. Maori Goro was still holding his head back, his face red, and he could no longer make any sound. I only rob money, not kill people. Don't worry, I always keep my word. Unlike you, you have no money but still want to take all the money with interest. Pa! Li Chongsheng carried Maori Goro and walked to the 3rd floor. Konoha. Uchiha headquarters. The great elder sat alone in a small courtyard, looking lonely. Ever since Mikoto was kidnapped, he has been having bad luck. His biological daughter Chizuru and his chosen successor Fugako left one after another, and there has been no news of them until now. Moreover, Mikoto's disappearance has had a huge impact on the reputation of the Uchiha clan. Now many clan members have united to demand that he be held responsible. The so-called responsibility is just to make me resign. One by one, can't you wait any longer? The elder knew this very well. But when he thought of the disappearance of Mikoto and Chiri, he couldn't help but feel a little discouraged. Master! At this time, the old butler rushed in without caring about his image. The elder glanced at the old butler and said indifferently. Why are you panicking? Don't you just want me to resign? Tell them I agree. The old housekeeper panted and was speechless for a moment, so he could only wave his hands repeatedly. No, no, yes, yes. At this time, a female voice came from the gate of the courtyard. Grandfather. The elder trembled when he heard this. He stood up suddenly, his eyes filled with an incredible look. Chin girl, is that you? Mikan trotted forward and threw herself into the arms of the great elder. Grandpa, I am sorry that my granddaughter is unfilial and makes you worried. The elder stroked Mikato's back with his shaking hands. Although he had a lot to say, he finally said comfortingly. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back. The grandfather and grandson hugged each other and cried bitterly. After calming down, they sat in the courtyard again. The elder asked. Chin girl, how did you escape? During this period, Grandpa was worried every day, afraid that you... As he spoke, he could not stop his tears from flowing again. Seeing this, Mikoto hurriedly spoke to comfort him. Seeing that the great elder had finally calmed down, she said. Grandpa, let me show you something. The elder looked at Mikoto curiously. Mikoto's black pupils suddenly turned red, and 3 megatama appeared in her pupils. Sharingan. What's so good about this? The elder was a little confused. Mikoto smiled and said. Grandpa, look again. Don't blink. Okay, okay. The elder smiled fondly. At this time, the 3 rounds of jade suddenly began to grow larger and longer. After a while, a triangular windmill pattern was formed. This is... The elder suddenly stood up, revealing an expression as if he had seen a ghost, staring at Mikoto's eyes, his chest heaving violently. In horror, he even opened his Sharingan involuntarily. After a long while, the elder took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. Mangeki Sharingan. Thank you for choosing fanfiction uploads to accompany you on your adventures. We hope you enjoyed this latest journey into the world of anime and fanfiction. Remember, the story doesn't end here, it's just the beginning. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so don't hesitate to leave a comment below. Let us know which stories you loved, what you'd like to hear next, or share your own fanfiction ideas. We're always excited to hear from our fellow anime enthusiasts. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss a new upload. Share our channel with your friends and fellow anime lovers, the more, the merrier. Stay tuned for more incredible stories, epic adventures, and heartfelt moments. Thank you for being a part of our community and for supporting fanfiction uploads. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep listening, and keep the anime spirit alive. See you in the next episode.